Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Fantasy. My ex-wives are big bosses, and I am a soft fan of Heavenly Emperor. Chapter 1. The next 3 days, Xuanyu. Great Xia Dynasty, Sus Manor. Sus Manor, known as the heaven on earth, is filled with a depressing and dignified atmosphere in this graceful and luxurious scenery. What happened in the manor at this time is enough to make the entire Great Xia Dynasty turbulent. Shuffle the cards. Su Bai, the richest man with a reputation resounding throughout the Great Xia Dynasty, is extremely powerful and is experiencing a life and death disaster inside. Within the manor, Su Bai, with gray hair and furrows, stands in front of the rockery. His face was pale, there was blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, and his luxurious clothes were stained with blood, like a candle that was about to be extinguished and would die at any moment. His eyes were as dark as stars. Countless corpses fell in front of Su Bai, blood pooling into a river. Among these corpses, there are many strong men and masters of the Great Xia Dynasty, but all of them died tragically here. But there was only one person who did it. A person who casually slaughtered half of the strong men of the Great Xia Dynasty didn't even lose a single hair. His strength makes people despair. In the face of death, Su Bai is happy and fearless. He stared at the man in black exuding terrifying fluctuations in front of him, and angrily said, "The new emperor sent you to kill me. Although I, Su Bai, was arrogant, I was innocent all my life, and it ended up like this. It's ridiculous, ridiculous." Su Bai laughed out loud, but the laughter seemed extremely sad. He is a time traveler. He came to this world at the age of 18, and then started an extraordinary life. At the age of 23, he joined the powerful Li's family and became a white man. It only took 6 years to become the richest man in the Great Xia Dynasty by relying on the knowledge of his previous life. According to the folks, the treasury is not in the imperial city, but in the Su family manor. According to the folks, it is better to offend the Holy Majesty than to offend Su Bai. The folks also say that there is a Buddha in the sky and Su Bai in the world. People call Su Bai from the bottom of their hearts, Su Foi. There has been a legend among the people. The old emperor was licentious and immoral. After squandering the national treasury, he ordered Su Bai to donate half of his property to supplement the national treasury. Su Foi directly threw the person and the imperial decree out, and said, "What kind of thing are you? You have to come to me, Su Bai, for food." Never put the old emperor to put in one's eyes. Even so, the old emperor dared to be angry and dare not speak out. After the ministers reported the matter to the court, he died of anger on the dragon chair, and the world was shocked. Afterwards, Su Bai is still at ease. This is the energy of Su Bai, shrouding the heavens with one hand in the Great Xia Dynasty. Although he is crazy, but it is true that the implementation of the imperial examination system will allow all outstanding people in the world to have their day. It is true that he personally led people to open up the road to the west, opened up trade routes with neighboring countries, and greatly promoted the economic development of the Great Xia Dynasty. It is true that the invention of gunpowder allowed the Great Xia Dynasty to shock the world with force. With his own strength, he raised the comprehensive strength of the Great Xia Dynasty to the highest among all dynasties in the next 3 days. In Su Bai's life, his merits are definitely greater than his faults. He originally thought that after a while, he would slowly separate himself from trivial matters and distribute power to a few cronies he had cultivated. After working hard all his life, he wanted to rest. But I didn't expect that new emperor. I don't know where to find a practitioner with great supernatural powers, and he wants to execute himself in this manner on trumped-up charges. Thinking of this, Su Bai showed a bitter smile, feeling chilled and angry. Looking at the man in black, he felt powerless. The man just stood there, but he was as powerful as 1,000 troops. A movement technique is extremely powerful, and the entire manor is filled with breathless spiritual pressure. Xiaoguang Shal, step on Baolian. He is like a mountain, an insurmountable mountain. Even if he has been exposed to the cultivation method, with Su Bai's vision, he can't see what kind of realm this person is. He is too powerful. This is a peerless supernatural powersman. I traveled here with my physical body back then, and after working hard for half my life, I discovered that there is a cultivator in this world. I have already missed the best age for cultivation. Now is the first level, the physical body level. It is not the opponent of this great supernatural power at all. If I had known earlier that there was a cultivator in this world, would my life be different? Su Bai was not afraid when death was imminent, but showed yearning instead. As a time traveler, he also fantasized that one day, he could also become a cultivator who went to heaven and escaped from the earth. But the reality is that he has lived his whole life as a mortal. Everything is too late. Su Bai, Master Su, you still have today. From behind the man in black, a voice came silently. Su Bai looked suddenly. I saw Xindi slowly walking out from behind him, staring at himself playfully. I have to witness your death with my own eyes. If you don't die, I won't be able to sleep a day. However, I am generous enough to allow you to leave your last words, ha ha ha. Xindi laughed. Su Bai took a deep breath, but suddenly relaxed, revealing a look of nostalgia. Last words. I have nowhere to go, and I have nothing to explain. It's just, I haven't heard from them for a long time. I don't know how they are doing now. Su Bai suddenly remembered the group of confidants in Own. When I was young, relying on my previous life's flirting skills and good skin, I won the hearts of girls a lot. Speaking of these girls, they are really top-notch. What a dignified and elegant young lady, what a curvaceous geisha, what a heroic female general. There are bears and gullies, some are pink and tender, some are red and purple, some have a good spoken language, and some have knees that touch shoulders. More importantly, these are all sharp. Do you understand the gold content that hits the nail on the head? There are a few things that left a deep impression on Su Bai. Even now that he is old, he will never forget them. There was an original beauty named Shen Qinghan who was sold to a brothel by the gambler's father, but was stopped by himself halfway and bought by him as his personal maid. When going to bed, Shen Qinghan said to himself, I accompany you because my father owes you money, don't be too complacent. Early the next morning, she opened her eyes and shook the sleeping Su Bai awake. Su Bai asked, what's wrong? Shen Qinghan, how much money does our father owe us? We can't just let it go. Thinking of this, Su Bai suddenly laughed, feeling a little nostalgic. There are so many delicate beauties. Calculated in this way, it seems that I have lived my life well. It was only later that my group of confidant girls suddenly disappeared without a trace for some reason. Even if he turned the entire Great Shah dynasty upside down, there was no news of them. Now, the only thing I am worried about is them. This is a heart disease of own. However, there is no need to talk to outsiders. Su Bai sneered, last words. I, Su Bai, have come to this position in an ordinary body, and I have nothing to miss. You kill me, I can't resist, but I can also disgust you, bah. Su Bai didn't know how to practice, his tongue was strong, and the drop of blood-stained thick phlegm was left far away, and landed on Xindi's face with a slap. The new emperor's face suddenly turned livid. He clenched his fists violently. Yazi yelled, you're courting death. The great supernatural person slowly raised his hand, and there was a terrifying spiritual chi condensing in his palm. This strike is enough to make Su Bai die 180 times. A sarcastic smile appeared on the corner of Su Bai's mouth, his body was proud, and he slowly closed his eyes. His glorious life is about to come to an end. But at this moment, outside of 9 heavens, a cold voice suddenly resounded, resounding like the voice of God, resounding through the world. Ants, dare you! Ants, dare you! The words fell. The great supernatural being, who never showed any emotional fluctuations on his face, raised his eyebrows slightly. A sharp light suddenly burst out from those calm and deep eyes. The abyss-like momentum suddenly changed, like tens of thousands of sharp swords coming out, mixed with anger like a volcanic eruption. Ants, what a big tone. He has been hidden for many years. In these 3 days, he was already invincible. When he left the mountain today, it was because of the new emperor's begging that he came out of the mountain and entered the world of mortals. Can now, how dare someone call themselves an ant? How many years have I not heard this name? I have never been the only one who calls others ants, and no one has ever dared to call me that. The great supernatural being was furious. But he hasn't finished speaking yet. Between the heaven and the earth, a rare phenomenon suddenly appeared. A true phoenix phantom appeared in the sky. The gorgeous and stunning true phoenix hovered and soared above 9 heavens, with streams of gorgeous flames trailing down from its tail. At this moment, the world seemed to be overshadowed. The crisp phoenix cry resounded throughout the world. Hey! Within a few miles around, countless people looked up at the same time, and then turned pale with shock. Some people quickly knelt and kowtowed, while others were dumbfounded, as if they had seen a god. True phoenix vision. The face of the great supernatural person suddenly changed. In my heart, I couldn't stop being shocked. True phoenix exists only in legends. He has never seen or heard of the person who can induce the vision of true phoenix. The lips of the supernatural being trembled, his pupils throbbed, and he murmured in disbelief, what kind of power is coming into the world? In the imperial city. Here, there are half of the powerhouses of the great Xia dynasty. After that crisp phoenix sound appeared, they actually flew into the sky at the same time. Looking at the gorgeous shadow of the true phoenix vision in the distance, my heart was shocked. My God, what happened to trigger the true phoenix vision? Is this the great supernatural being invited by the new emperor, or something else? No, this power will not appear in the next 3 days at all, and it is definitely not that great supernatural being. Not good. Rushed to Sus Manor for support. In the past, half of the powerhouses of the great Xia dynasty made offerings in Sus Manor. Now, the remaining powerhouses of the great Xia dynasty all rushed to Sus Manor. In the entire history of the great Xia dynasty, there has never been such an earth-shattering event. In the tense atmosphere of the whole country, in the center of the vortex of events, the corners of Su Bai's brows trembled slightly as he was on the verge of death. He opened his eyes, looked up at the sky, and slowly frowned. This voice. Why does it sound so familiar? It's as if I have heard it countless times. Where did you hear that? Su Bai fell into deep thought. This voice is very familiar. But he had never heard that cold and angry tone. Who is it? Who could it be? The beautiful faces of the past flashed in my mind. Those confidants of own are all mortals, how could they have such a majestic aura? In the end, Su Bai gave a wry smile. Maybe it's because I'm going to die soon, and I'm having auditory hallucinations. Without hope, he waited for death to come. As for that voice, it should be me, my longing for the past. But at this moment, the blue sky suddenly shattered like glass, revealing the deep purple void behind it. This Setsuna, building the structure between heaven and earth, showed signs of collapse. The mountains and rivers shake, and the sky and the earth change color. The great magician blurted out in a panic. Oops, this is a peerless powerhouse who tore through the void, almost shattering the rules of heaven and earth. This space is at risk of being destroyed by an explosion. Why does a powerhouse of this level appear here? The long-lost panic took over his entire mind. Those strong men in the imperial city also rushed to Sus Manor. Dozens of strong men stood under the sky, looking up at the shattered void, their pupils trembling. The dignified atmosphere has reached the extreme. Under everyone's gaze, a white hand was suddenly placed on the edge of the void. Immediately afterwards, a woman with long hair floating like a fairy stepped proudly out of it. She stands on the sky, overlooking the world. With just one glance, the powerful men opened their mouths slightly, and Setsuna was in a trance on their faces. What a nice view. Simply amazed diva. The skin is as white as suet, and the eyebrows are as slender as willow. The bridge of the nose is high and straight, and the face is shaped like a goose egg. Almond eyes and thin lips, tall and tall. The waterfall-like black hair is blown by the breeze, and the white gauze shawl is like a cool fairy above 9 heavens. Matching her stunning beauty is the earth-shattering cultivation base. With a wave of his hand, the crack in the void disappeared. Standing alone on the sky, it makes the world pale, and the powerful spirit power fluctuates, filling every corner of the world. Thick as if dripping water. The goddess above the 9 heavens, lightly parted her red lips, and there was an undisguised chill in her tone, as if winter was coming. This seat says ants, you are ants. Finished speaking. The strong men seemed to have been suffocated, and their faces suddenly turned pale. That realm's spiritual pressure made everyone breathless. It's like a mortal meets a god. Even moving a finger becomes extremely difficult. This moment, all the powerhouses, the new emperor, and the great supernatural powers, all of them unanimously let down a thunderstorm in their hearts. So strong. It's so tyrannical that it can't be added. A strong man raised his head with great effort, and after being shaken, he noticed something keenly. His pupils shrank slightly, and he said in shock. Hanging on her waist is the token of the Flucklight sacred land. All the powerful men turned pale with shock when they heard the reputation. I saw an ordinary mahogany lock hanging on the waist of this power. On this mahogany lock, there are 2 big characters with strong shapes engraved. Fluctuate. She sure is the Flucklight's sacred land. A disciple of Flucklight's sacred land, why did you appear here? The powerhouses couldn't figure it out. Those ancient sacred lands don't usually walk around the world at all. They are like giants detached from the world, overlooking the whole world indifferently. Mysterious, powerful, but now, there are actually people from the sacred land descending into the great Shah dynasty. It was unprecedented. Wrong. I once heard something about the Flucklight sacred land. In Flucklight's sacred land, the hierarchy is strict, and there are clear rules about what color clothes the disciple elders wear. Outer sect disciples wear blue, inner disciples wear red, true disciples wear yellow. Hear the sound. Everyone looked at the goddess in the sky carefully again. She was wearing a white Taoist robe, and on her fair shoulders was a slightly floating white gauze. White is not among the disciples. Could it be? She is the elder. An elder from Flucklight's sacred land. Thinking of this, everyone was shocked. The weight of the word elder is too heavy. A 10,000-year dynasty can be overthrown with a single raise of a hand. However, the truth is not as simple as they thought. The strong man took a deep breath and said with a trembling voice, "Beyond these levels, there is another level. White. The only ones who can wear white are the Holy Son and the Holy Maiden. As for the generation of Yaoguang's sacred land, there is only one Holy Maiden who is extremely talented, pushing all the way, crushing all the arrogances, and becoming a Holy Maiden in one fell swoop. Holy Maiden, that's the candidate for the Lord of the Sacred Land. Not surprisingly, he will be in charge of the entire sacred land in the future." The voice fell to the ground. Everyone became restless in an instant. Oh my God, Holy Maiden. That's the Holy Maiden of Sacred Land, who will be in charge of the entire existence of the legendary Sacred Land in the future. Why does it appear here? It's too scary. Why did my great Shah dynasty come to such a huge monster? Quote. Sacred Land's disciples, they can't afford to offend them. The elder of Sacred Land, they must serve carefully. And the Holy Maiden from Sacred Land, they haven't even seen one. Even if it is to be a dog for others, it depends on their mood. All the strong were dumbfounded. The same is true for Zindi. He looked at the Holy Maiden in the sky in a trance, with undisguised shock on his face. Holy Maiden of Flucklight's sacred land. If I remember correctly, it seems that she came out of my great Shah dynasty. The new emperor once heard the old emperor mention it. The Holy Maiden of Flucklight's sacred land came out of the great Shah dynasty. If the great Shah dynasty grasps this hard-won opportunity well, it might be able to achieve great success. I remember that when my father was alive, he made great efforts many times, and even went to visit this person for 3 days in person. But in the end, I couldn't even get through the door of Sacred Land. The new emperor remembered very clearly that he followed his father to go there for 3 days, and after several months, he finally arrived at Flucklight's sacred land. But when the father revealed his identity and mentioned that the fluttering Holy Maiden was a member of the great Shah dynasty. But the doorman sneered, "An emperor in the world also wants to see my Holy Maiden from Sacred Land. Stop dreaming, recognize your own identity, you are just a mortal, in my sacred land, you are not even as good as a dog." On that day, the father, who was usually admired by thousands of people, nodded and smiled apologetically, not even daring to fart. Not to mention meeting the Holy Maiden. While the new emperor was shocked, he had some doubts. Father is the emperor of the great Shah dynasty. If you go to visit Sacred Land with this status, you can't even enter the door. But now, the Holy Maiden of Flucklight's sacred land is willing to come here in person even though he is not hesitating to crush the void. Why? He doesn't understand. Even if he was thinking about it, he couldn't figure it out. The Holy Maiden that day came for this dying Su Bai. Su Bai heard the conversation of the strong men. Slowly raising his head with difficulty, he looked up at the sky. His cloudy eyeballs were bloodshot, looked extremely tired. But after he saw that figure clearly, the pupils gradually dilated, the mouth opened slightly, and the eyeballs trembled. The intense yearning that was so hard to suppress surged out from the bottom of my heart. This Su Foi who didn't even frown even when he died, his eyes turned red after he recognized the Holy Maiden. The ears suddenly lost their hearing, because the eyes had already recognized the owner of that figure. He recognized it. This familiar yet unfamiliar face. I will never forget it for the rest of my life. Can't forget it either. This is clearly one of her confidant. The girl who was sold cheaply by the gambler's father to own personal servant girl. Shen Qinghan. Memories flooded my mind. Those dusty memories in the bottom of my heart, cherished by Su Bai as treasures, opened the door at this moment. That spring, Su Bai was lying on the deck chair, basking in the sun. Beside them are those stunning confidant of Own. Wu Tianai knelt beside her, stroking Own's cheek with her small hands, leaning on her arms. Wen Ning brought himself a watermelon, and kept the sweetest melon heart for himself. Linan was like a little sparrow, playing with the palm of Own, chattering non-stop. Shen Qinghan sat on the stone bench, holding a folk novel, and told the story to himself emotionally. Among his confidant friends, Shen Qinghan's voice is the best. Cold, ethereal, but with an indescribable spirituality. At that time, my whole family liked to listen to her telling stories. It was also because of the bright red like a peach blossom that night when she walked through the channel with Shen Qinghan and received the liquid. I like to call Shen Qinghan, Xiao Taohong. Su Bai still remembers that every time she called Shen Qinghan Xiao Taohong, her shy appearance was endearing. Among the group of confidant friends whom I have reached Guan Bao's acquaintance, Shen Qinghan is the most obedient and graceful. That was my happiest time. It was also the happiest period after I traveled to this world. This is his most precious memory. At this time, memories fade away. Su Bai looked at the figure in the sky. The trembling and bitter voice broke the dignified silence between heaven and earth. Little Taohong, is that you? The moment after Su Bai spoke, the strong men turned their heads in disbelief. Chi stared at Su Bai. Their expressions are very strange. Shocked, novel, despised. Actually is not because Su Bai knew Fluct Light Holy Maiden. It's because they really didn't expect that Su Bai is also a legend of a generation that is famous all over the world. When he was about to die, he actually came up with such a stupid trick. Want to get in touch with Holy Maiden, and let the Holy Maiden keep him alive. Ridiculous. Absurd. Su Bai, the folks call you Great Buddha Su, what about your bearing and courage as a Buddha? I didn't expect that you are such a person who is greedy for life and afraid of death. You really want to survive, and you can say anything. In the past, I was indeed in awe of you. I respected you as a person. With a mortal body, you managed to become shrouding the heavens in the great Xia dynasty. But now, you have let me down so much. Ha ha ha, don't just laugh at him. I remember that when Su Bai gained power, you went to be a dog for others, and they didn't even want you. You are only in the first physical state, but Holy Maiden is already a giant above the creation realm. The gap between you and her is like the difference between clouds and mud, don't be wishful thinking. Quote. 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 There are a total of 10 realms on the road of practice. Only 6 realms are allowed to appear in the next 3 days, namely, physical body realm, celestial realm, supernatural power realm, gold core realm, Faxiong realm, and creation realm. As for higher realms, due to the rules of heaven and earth, they are not allowed to appear. That is the legendary realm that can only appear in the middle 3 days and the last 3 days. For the superpowers beyond these 6 realms to come down to the next 3 days, they need to pay a huge price. And Shen Qinghan, the ability to crush the void with one hand is obviously above the creation realm. The strong man also relied on this detail to judge Shen Qinghan's approximate realm. Everyone here knows it. Although Su Bai has a great reputation, when it comes to personal strength, it is really not enough. Everyone present can crush him. A small cultivator in the physical state, everyone present, can easily crush dozens, hundreds of them to death. What's more, the one standing in the sky is Holy Maiden from Fluct Light's sacred land. It is an existence that none of them can reach. In the eyes of the other party, this group of people is as insignificant as ants. How could Su Bai have anything to do with the existence above the creation? It's ridiculous. The new emperor suddenly sneered and shook his head. Said in that pitiful tone, Su Bai, are you a fool? How can you get involved with the Holy Maiden? What else? Little Taohong, what's the name? Pooh, I'm ashamed and flustered. Calling Holy Maiden a little peach, such a vulgar and degrading name, you are insulting Holy Maiden. The new emperor snorted coldly, loudly. Look no further. Anyway, this Su Bai is also dying. Now I'm afraid I don't have to do it myself. The Holy Maiden in the sky erased Su Bai at will. What I said can also express my position secretly. Make a good impression on the Holy Maiden. Thinking of this, Xindi's waist straightened unconsciously. But yes, if it were me, I would rather die at the hands of this goddess. Who says it's not? It's not easy to have something to do with the Holy Maiden in this life. It's worth dying, ha ha ha. When all the strong people are talking about it. Shen Qinghan above 9 heavens, after hearing the sound of Little Pink, was already trembling all over, and his almond eyes were flushed. Seeing this, the strong men were shocked. Holy Maiden is angry. My God, it looks like you're very angry. There's a good show to watch. She is a majestic Holy Maiden, and she must be called Little Taohong by a mortal. She must not bear it. This is blasphemy. Profane Holy Maiden. Tisk tisk, as expected of Su Bai, he can make big things happen when he dies. Wait and see the good show. I don't know what the strong man above the creation looks like. Everyone backed away for a distance. I am afraid that the Holy Maiden will make a move and affect myself. That is the power above creation. I can't stand even a drop of her blood. They looked at Su Bai's excited look. With a cold snort, he shook his head. I was so old and confused, I made a foolish move. After he said that, even a god could not save him. Everyone looked at the Holy Maiden in the sky again. Suddenly there was a thump in their hearts, and it seemed that something was wrong. I saw that Holy Maiden was already in tears and trembling all over. Can a Little Pink make Holy Maiden cry? No, no. At this time, no matter who is aware of it, it seems that this matter is not that simple. Shen Qinghan looked at the manor, that proud but slightly sad figure. Distress and longing can't stop surging in my heart. How long has it been since I heard someone call me that? I practiced desperately for the last 3 days, in order not to be able to come back early and see him. Shen Qinghan thought of the suffering he had suffered. Think of the twists and turns along the way. Thinking of her most precious memory. In every scene in that memory, there is a young man with brows and eyes, wanton and unrestrained. That's Su Bai. It is Su Bai who I regard as the most precious person in my life. But now, the young master in fresh clothes and angry horses in his memory has become old and gray-haired. Even at this time, he was seriously injured for some reason and was about to die. Thinking of this, Shen Qinghan's tears gushed out like a bank bursting. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Shen Qinghan responded tremblingly. Little young master, is that you? The words fell. The world seemed to be silent. The joking expressions of all the experts present suddenly froze on their faces. What? Holy Maiden just called Su Bai little young master. This Su Bai really knows Holy Maiden. No matter who it is, at this moment, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Oops. Suddenly, Xindi's face turned livid. There is also an unconcealable shock mixed in. What he said just now kept replaying in his mind, disgusting, vulgar, degrading title. In other words, this Su Bai, maybe, really knew Holy Maiden. I also slandered Holy Maiden just now, saying that people's name is very vulgar. It's over, it's over, it's over. The new emperor subconsciously turned his head and looked at the great supernatural being. The two saw undisguised shock and fear from each other's eyes. From the very beginning, the two were on top, as if they had everything under control. Until now, they just discovered it suddenly. Things seem to be out of my control all of a sudden. Even the two of us are in danger of dying. This Su Bai actually knew Holy Maiden, and very intimately called each other Xiao Taohong. Just for a moment, Xindi had already thought of a first aid solution. He stepped out and looked up at Shen Qinghan in the sky, his voice shaking. Holy Maiden, I am the new emperor of the great Xia dynasty, who just ascended the throne not long ago. I once heard my father mention that the Holy Maiden who shakes the light of sacred land came out of my great Xia dynasty. I've always been proud of this matter. No matter who I met, I have confidence in my heart, because Yaoguang Holy Maiden is a member of my great Xia dynasty. Holy Maiden, please accept me. Puff. Xindi didn't finish his sentence. Su Bai at the side couldn't suppress the injury in his body any longer, and suddenly spit out a big mouthful of blood. Even his face was a little pale. The figure that was already on the verge of falling couldn't hold on any longer and sat down slumped. Shen Qinghan felt his heart was suddenly pinched by a big hand. Young master. She furrowed her brows, not concealing her distress at all, and with one step, she came to Su Bai's side and held him firmly. People with discerning eyes can see it. This is the Floodlight secret technique, shrinking the ground into a foot. As expected of the Floodlight Holy Maiden, she has successfully mastered the Floodlight secret technique at a young age. This shrinks the ground into a foot, but it is a great supernatural power. The supernatural power contains the principles of space. It is rumored that no one has succeeded in cultivating Floodlight's sacred land for thousands of years. I didn't expect that today I could feast my eyes and see the mystery of shrinking the ground into feet. Heard someone say that. Everyone was startled, and when they looked at Holy Maiden again, the awe and shock became even stronger. Just now I heard that Floodlight Holy Maiden is extremely talented, but I don't have any idea in my mind. At this time, they saw the shrinking of the ground, and they realized how powerful Floodlight Holy Maiden is. That shrinks the earth into a ruler, and only exists in strange stories, a legendary supernatural power. There is really someone who can practice successfully. The faces of the new emperor and the great supernatural being became even more gloomy. If you don't do anything else, you will be the one who will die later. The two took a step forward at the same time and said in unison, Holy Maiden. Shut up. Shen Qinghan glared over fiercely. A majestic spiritual pressure surged in like a tsunami, and the pressure made the two of them unable to utter a single word. I just feel that the internal organs are all misplaced. The gust of wind that rose out of nowhere directly sent the two of them flying, smashing several rockeries. In Shen Qinghan's hands. Just a look, a word. This great supernatural being who killed half of the powerhouses of the great Xia dynasty flew out in embarrassment like a child with no strength to restrain a chicken. I don't know if I live or die. All the powerhouses present were terrified, and after being shocked, they had a more intuitive feeling of the power above the creation. Is this the existence above the creation of the world, so scary? It is so powerful that it cannot be added. I'm afraid she can forcefully push it for 3 days by herself, right? Everyone's mood became a little dignified, and they were no longer as joking as they were just now. Shen Qinghan didn't look at the two of them anymore, and turned to check Su Bai's injuries anxiously. A pure spirit power burst out from her fingers, submerged into Su Bai's body, and kept wandering. Quite a while. Shen Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes, and there was an indescribable throbbing in his tender eyes. Tendons are broken, organs are shattered. Young master, what have you experienced? She frowned, looking at Su Bai's pale face with affection and distress. Then, there was a flash of light in his hand. A 9-color flower appeared out of thin air. This flower looks like nothing at first sight. As soon as it was born, the strong medicinal fragrance spread far away, making people move their index fingers and couldn't help snatching it. At the same time, on the crystal petals, there seems to be a Qilin beast, stepping on auspicious clouds. The aura is dense and the medicinal taste is strong. No, is this the legendary 9 Yi Fanhua? It is said that after thousands of years, a flower can bloom a single petal. This prosperity has 9 leaves, and it also produces a vision. It is obviously a peerless holy medicine that has been more than 100,000 years old. This kind of precious medicine, I couldn't find a single plant in the next 3 days or even the middle 3 days. Holy Maiden is trying to use Juyi Fanhua to save Su Bai's life. Quote. Seeing this, everyone is not calm. On the 9th stage day, treasures are divided into 7 tiers. Human level, Huang level, Earth level, Heaven level, Saint level, Emperor level, Immortal level. This 9 Yi Fanhua has been aged for 100,000 years, and its medicinal power is strong. It is definitely a holy treasure. Moreover, there was a vision. I am afraid that among the holy ranks, they are all considered to be the best. If this thing is obtained by everyone present, I am afraid that several small realms can be broken through on the spot. Save 100 years, or even 1,000 years of penance. Even if it is placed on the top 3 days, countless giants will come out to fight for the top-grade holy treasure. Once it appears in the world, it is enough to cause a bloodbath. Now, in order to save a mortal, Yaoguang Holy Maiden even took out such a holy medicine as Juyi Fanhua. Everyone exclaimed that it was incredible. This kind of thing is unheard of. It's an astounding masterpiece. Some people looked at each other, with desire surging in their eyes. But then, he suddenly woke up, breaking out in a cold sweat. That's the Fluctlight Holy Maiden, a being above creation. My own weight is not enough to watch. I'm afraid that if you make a move, you will be crushed into slag. On the other hand, Shen Qinghan. On her beautiful face, there was no hint of distress at all. She stared at Su Bai and murmured, "Young master, these 9 Yi fan flowers were originally intended to help me break through realm. The Holy Master paid a great price to find them for me." At that time, Shen Qinghan became the Fluctlight Holy Maiden, with a peerless beauty. The Holy Master was very optimistic about Shen Qinghan, so he went into the restricted area of life for a walk, and returned injured half a month later. And handed it over to Shen Qinghan, this 9-color flower. However, as long as it can save your life, what are these 9 Yi fanwas? Everything in this world is not as important as you alone. The words fell. Without hesitation, Shen Qinghan wrapped the Ju Yi fan flower with spirit power, slightly opened Su Bai's mouth, and sent it in. A priceless holy level top-grade treasure medicine was swallowed by Su Bai just like that. Shen Qinghan stared at Su Bai, feeling like his heart was about to break. "Young master, you will definitely be able to wake up. This is the holy level top-grade medicine, it must be fine." She seemed to be comforting herself. It also seems to be praying to God. Under everyone's gaze, the medicinal power of the 9 Yi Fanhua gradually spread in Su Bai's body. Su Bai's body seemed to become transparent. A milky aura glows faintly within its body. Everyone saw clearly that the aura slowly moved from the throat to the abdomen, and shattered like a shining star, nourishing Su Bai's broken meridians. This is a holy level precious medicine. It is really extraordinary. Its power is so strong that you can see it from the outside. It's unbelievable. This is the first time this old man has seen such a miraculous scene in most of his life. I don't know this Su Bai. The new emperor managed to stand up from the ruins, and subconsciously wanted to speak ill of Su Bai. But he swallowed the words suddenly. Then I broke out in a cold sweat. Even the peerless supernatural powers were beaten away by the Holy Maiden in an understatement. If he hadn't been protected by the rare magic treasures, he might have been wiped out just now. In the eyes of the Holy Maiden, I am afraid that I am not as good as an ant. If those words were spoken just now, the consequences would be disastrous. Think about it. Xindi took a few deep breaths, his arms were shaking. Even if Shen Qinghan's attention is not on her side at all. I must not touch her bad luck. Just now, death passed him by. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. The new emperor breathed a sigh of relief. Naturally, Shen Qinghan didn't know about these little thoughts of the new emperor. She kept observing Su Bai's reaction. After a period of time after the medicinal power is digested, Su Bai's body finally glowed with vitality. Shen Qinghan beamed with joy, held Su Bai's hand tightly, and said in a concentrated voice, "Young master. Young master," as if someone is calling me. Under the catalysis of the medicine, Su Bai gradually became sober. This feeling is very mysterious, like being wrapped in clouds, a little bit floating, and the whole body is extremely comfortable. Why? Su Bai naturally didn't know what happened just now. He only felt that his own body had undergone tremendous changes. The broken meridians are reorganizing, repairing. The residue left by the broken bones in the body is also slowly evaporating. This feeling, comfortable like never before. In response to the physical reaction, even Su Bai's frown was slightly relaxed. His face was not as pale as before. A dying mortal, under the majestic medicinal power of 9 Yi Fanhua, glows with vitality inconceivably. It seems that I should die. Just as Su Bai thought of this, a sharp pain suddenly came from deep inside his body. This sharp pain was unbearably itchy like an ant-eating bone, and it took over the whole body in an instant. The two completely different feelings, one before and one after, made Su Bai feel as if he fell into the underworld from heaven. Pain. It hurts so much. Shen Qinghan, who had been watching Su Bai's changes, heaved a sigh of relief. It seems that there should be no problem. It can be next second. Shen Qinghan's heart that had just let go hangs up again. She saw clearly that Su Bai's face suddenly revealed a look of pain. How so? Shen Qinghan panicked. Peerless power. who never frowned even in the face of taboos in the forbidden zone of life, was disturbed by the pain of a mortal. The importance of Su Bai in his heart is self-evident. Oh no, I thought that the holy medicine would be fine even if ordinary people take it, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Su Foi is only in the realm of the physical body. The realm is too low to withstand the majestic medicinal power of the 9 fan flower. I'm afraid Su Foi's physical condition has improved just now, and he has reached the limit of the medicine's strength, and now he is starting to rebound. Quote. All the strong people called Su Bai unconsciously, and it became Su Foi. This is an attitude. Shen Qinghan also reacted at this time. Her expression changed drastically. She clenched Bai Nen's fist, her eyes were red. I am also concerned about chaos, forgetting that young master is only a physical body now. Although this treasured flower medicine is famous for its gentleness, this gentleness is not something the physical body can bear. The more she said, the more trembling Shen Qinghan's voice became. She can't accept everything now. As long as you can see the young master. Even if the void is shattered, the real body descends for 3 days and pays a huge price, it is not hesitating. Now he finally caught up and saved young master. But if it was because of the 9 fan flowers that he fed young master in a panic, young master's life was in danger. Never forgive yourself. Normally, the Fluctlight Holy Maiden, who is as cold as an iceberg and high above the sky, is crying like a child at this time. Young master, I won't let anything happen to you, even if I take this life with me, I won't hesitate. The words fell. A trace of determination flashed in Shen Qinghan's almond eyes. Even if you come here by stepping on the void, you will have to pay a huge price. Even with this shot, the rules of heaven and earth may not allow me to kill me. Even if it means death, I will save young master. Use my life for young master's life. In an instant, Shen Qinghan shot out indifferently, stretched out his jade palm, and pressed it against Su Bai's lower abdomen. Suddenly, the palm of the hand burst into a radiant glow. Brilliant and condensed rays of light illuminated the world. With Shen Qinghan as the center, an extremely terrifying spiritual pressure spread out, rushing away in all directions like a mountain torrent and tsunami. Spread tens of thousands of miles directly. At this moment, the people of the entire Great Xia dynasty, even the cities in neighboring countries bordering the territory of the Great Xia dynasty, felt an indescribable sense of oppression. What exactly happened here? What kind of realm's power is this? It has such a terrifying spiritual pressure. I'm afraid it's going to change, run away and go to other countries. Quote. Mortals are in fear, only feel that the gods from the sky have descended into the world, bringing divine punishment. The cultivator was flustered, and only felt a transcendent force beyond his knowledge descended into the world. A strong man from a neighboring country stood at the border, looking at the imperial city of the Great Xia dynasty. In my heart, I couldn't stop the shock and fear. This force is too powerful. Great Xia dynasty, what happened? Shen Qinghan's attack directly made the whole next 3 days tremble with fear. But she doesn't care about that at all. As long as young master can be saved, even if it is destroyed for 3 days, so what? Young master, hold on. Shen Qinghan's eyes flickered, and he slowly sealed the majestic medicinal power in Su Bai's body. Then, with spirit power, the speed of Su Bai's body breaking down was delayed. Su Bai only felt that the pain in his body was gradually decreasing, and then, under the interference of external forces, his consciousness fell into a drowsiness. Wait for Shen Qinghan to finish these. Already pale. But the eyes are as bright as autumn water. As a result of the forceful shot in the next 3 days, none of the spirit power in the body survived, and under the interference of the rules of heaven and earth, he suffered an almost unhealable trauma on the Tao. But as long as he can save young master's life, it's worth paying the price himself. Young master, I'll take you away, let's go to a place that can help you digest the power of the medicine. As he spoke, a shocking scarlet dripped from the corner of Shen Qinghan's mouth. She wiped it casually. The dignified and mournful eyes exude a sense of fragmented beauty. Shen Qinghan murmured, however, before leaving, there is still a little tale to deal with. After all, Ling Lai's eyes suddenly shifted to the new emperor and the great supernatural being. Even Shen Qinghan's gaze. The new emperor and the great supernatural powers can't compete at all. Puff. In an instant, the new emperor and the great supernatural being vomited blood, only to feel the endless coercion pressing down on them like a mountain. Straight to despair, the great supernatural being knelt down on one leg, resisting this majestic force with all his might. The new emperor trembled all over, and the dragon robe was full of dragon energy, which dispelled part of the pressure from his gaze, which prevented him from kneeling limply. The royal robes are the strongest magical item of the great Xia dynasty. Magic treasures, which contain a hint of the true dragon, cannot lower their proud heads. The lord of a country cannot kneel down. When magical item desperately resisted Shen Qinghan's gaze. There was only a thud, but the new emperor knelt down to Shen Qinghan without dignity in front of everyone. Holy maiden, I know I was wrong. If I knew Su Bai had someone like you backing me up, even if I borrowed 10 courage from me, I wouldn't dare to do anything to him. From now on, I am willing to regard Su Bai as the national teacher, and the whole country will help Su Bai recover from his injuries. I just beg Holy Maiden to spare my life, I have just ascended the throne, I don't want to die. The new emperor kowtowed in panic, his voice trembling. At this time, many cultivators gathered several miles around to watch the excitement. Taking a rough look, half of the cultivators in the entire imperial city have come. When they saw the majestic emperor of the great Xia dynasty kneeling before Shen Qinghan, their eyes widened. You are the emperor of my great Xia dynasty, the monarch of this country. Even if you die standing up, you can't kneel down. You have completely disgraced the entire great Xia dynasty. Shame, what a shame, the emperor kneeled down so naturally. Quote. There was a lot of cursing around. They are all from the great Xia dynasty. The emperor, who represented the face of the great Xia dynasty, was kneeled down by others, so where would the face of the people like them go? I am afraid that from now on, even if the new emperor survives, he will lose the hearts of the people. The great Xia dynasty, an ancient kingdom that stood for 3 days and thousands of years. From the moment he knelt down, it had already fallen. The light on the dragon robe disappeared after the new emperor knelt down. At the same time, everyone seemed to have heard a sad and angry dragon chant from somewhere. The real dragon luck left the new emperor's body. The great Xia dynasty has existed in name only. After hearing the words of the new emperor, Shen Qinghan's eyes were filled with a chill. Presumptuous, are you blind? What do you mean I support young master? A mere mortal emperor, how can he understand the mighty power of the young master? She said coldly, I can achieve what I am today, thanks to young master, without young master, I am nothing. The words fell. There was an uproar. Whether it is a great supernatural being, a new emperor, or someone who is watching the fun from afar. After hearing this sentence, there was a look of shock on the face. This Su Bai, what kind of ability does he have that can make the holy maiden of the dignified sacred land respect him so much? It's really a real person who doesn't show his face. We thought Su Bai was standing at the top of the world, but we didn't know he was standing in the sky. Quote. Discussions spread like waves. Shen Qinghan, who was regarded as a god by people, did not show any strangeness on his soft and beautiful face. I don't think that saying this will lose face to myself. Because what she said is true. What the holy maiden said is, the great supernatural being was sweating coldly, and quickly echoed. Shen Qinghan coldly glanced at the two of them. Tell me about young master's experience over the years. The cold gaze became extremely soft when it touched Su Bai. Even the tone of voice has eased a lot. The new emperor swallowed his saliva, trembling with fear. Su Bai has lived a legendary life in his life. I don't know what I was before. I only know that Su Bai has done many earth-shattering things after becoming the richest man. Don't wait for the new emperor to continue. Among the crowd next to him, a strong man suddenly said. When Su Bai was 26 years old, with 3,000 militiamen, he forcibly dispersed the 100,000 elites of the Dagon dynasty, and regained Ziguan, which had been lost for 100 years. Shen Qinghan's eyes lit up slightly. It really is young master, really amazing. Someone else said. That time, Su Bai led 3,000 Su family troops across the desert, beat the crap out of those nomads, and expanded the territory of Daxia by 1/3. The light in Shen Qinghan's eyes became brighter. What did Su Bai do? The imperial examination system allowed all the ambitious people of the great Shah dynasty to have their day, and the literary world flourished for a while. People said that this is the literary world that will not be prosperous for thousands of years. Both civil and military skills, so amazing. Shen Qinghan smiled lightly. I know one more. Even the kings of the neighboring countries are very familiar with Su Foi's name. When they came to the great Shah dynasty, they would not marry the royal family. They called out to marry Su Bai, and they came 3 or 4 times. Marriage. Shen Qinghan suddenly looked down at Su Bai. There is some resentment in the eyes. Young master is good at everything, but he likes to flirt with women. Is it not enough for me? Big deal. I just need to be more obedient. But, you really deserve to be a young master, capable of doing so many great things. Shen Qinghan looked at Su Bai adoringly. There seemed to be little stars in his eyes. She knows very well how difficult it is for a mortal to get to where she is today in this world of comprehension. Difficult as the sky, but young master insisted on doing it. Don't rely on others to do it. How could such a person not allow himself to be admired? Shen Qinghan said with emotion, as expected of a young master, even a white body can reach the top of a dynasty. Compared to him, if I didn't have a transcendent appearance, I'm afraid I would have been living on the street, and I don't know where I died. Young master and I can't be compared at all. Young master, let's go, I'll take you back to Flucklight Sacred Land, and heal your illness. After saying that, Shen Qinghan didn't care about the shocked gazes of others. He gently picked up Su Bai, took a step forward, and he was already on 9 heavens. Someone exclaimed about the unknown cultivator next to him. Great supernatural powers, shrink the ground into a foot. It's not over yet. I saw Shen Qinghan's white clothes floating, and suddenly rushed into the void to grab it. That piece of space barrier, like fragile glass, was torn apart by it, revealing a deep purple void storm. The eyeballs of all the cultivators below are about to pop out. In their life, where have they seen such a shocking scene? Under everyone's gaze, Shen Qinghan took a step forward and walked into the void storm. On the ground, the great supernatural powersman and the new emperor looked at each other, and both of them breathed out a deep breath of rejoicing. There is quite a kind of luck for the rest of the life after the catastrophe. In my heart, I couldn't stop the ecstasy. It looks like the Holy Maiden won't do anything to us. However, at this moment, Shen Qinghan, who looked like a god descending from the 9 heavens, turned half of his head, coldly looking down at the two of them. The two of them only felt that they were being targeted by a great existence that they couldn't compete with. Their limbs were stiff, they couldn't move, and the hairs all over their bodies exploded. An indescribable sense of crisis enveloped them like a quagmire. Shen Qinghan's cold voice suddenly resounded throughout the world. If you hurt young master, I want you to pay it back thousands of times. If you hurt young master, I want you to pay it back thousands of times. The cool voice runs through the 10 lands of 9 heavens. In the ethereal, as if with a lofty posture, in an instant, the fate of all the strong people present has been judged. If Shen Qinghan wanted them to die, they had to die. Immortals cannot be saved. Only one Setsuna, the new emperor, those with great supernatural powers, and even those strong men who rushed to rescue from the palace, a total of 36 people, all of them exploded into blood mist. It's like a blossoming of gorgeous fireworks exploding. In the Su-style manner, there was a grand fireworks rain. And from the beginning to the end, Shen Qinghan didn't take a second look. Even these people, in the next 3 days, are enough to be called the strongest of the highest level. But in Shen Qinghan's eyes, they were still ants on the ground. How can the light of fireflies compete with the bright moon? With one move, 36 strong men were instantly killed. Before she came, half of the powerful members of the great Shah dynasty died in Su-style manners to protect Su Bai. After she came, the remaining powerhouses of the great Shah dynasty also died in the Su-style manner because they offended the Holy Maiden and avenged Su Bai. On this day, the great Shah dynasty no longer had high-end combat power. All the powerful perish in the Su-style manner. Among the crowd of cultivators who came to watch the fun, it was quiet at this moment, and no one made a sound. They stared dumbfounded at what happened in the Su-style manner. Goosebumps appeared all over his body. Just now, what happened? So these powerful people who are not in contact with each other on weekdays were killed lightly by the Holy Maiden like this. My God, this kind of method, this kind of cultivation base, is so powerful that it makes people despair. Is this the fighting power of Light Holy Maiden? In these 3 days, the sum of all the people is not enough for one finger of her. The new emperor of my great Shah dynasty just died, what should I do in the future? Above the creation of the world, it is so terrifying. Quote. At this time, Su Bai had already left for the next 3 days under the escort of Shen Qinghan. In an extremely tyrannical way, the space barrier was forcibly torn open, and they came to the last 3 days. And after the two left, in the great Shah dynasty, a series of legends began to spread throughout the next 3 days. What happened in the Su-style manner today will cause an uproar in the next 3 days. It can be said that no one knows. A total of 916 countries, tens of thousands of sects, have all heard about Da Sha Su Buddha and Yaoguang Holy Maiden. The goddess of Yaoguang Sacred Land fell in love with an 80-year-old man, and the daughter of Sacred Land is willing to destroy her own future in order to save the old man. The Holy Maiden did not hesitate to risk his death, forcibly opened the space channel and descended for 3 days, just to save Su Foi's life. The most touching love in this world is not the cowherd and the weaver girl, nor Liang Shanbo and Zhu Yingtai, but the rocking light Holy Maiden and Su Foi. These two people, one is the distinguished Holy Maiden in the last 3 days, the other is the Buddha who only shrouded the heavens in the next 3 days, the other is a fairy who is shocked as diva, and the other is a white-haired old man. They are too textured, so romantic. Quote. About Su Bai and Shen Qinghan. In the next 3 days, it will be circulated for a long time. Even 10 years, 100 years later, some people still remember what happened today. Just like a slideshow, it is firmly engraved in my mind and cannot be forgotten. And as people dug deeper, the things Su Foi had done and the achievements he had were gradually known to people. In my heart, I admire Su Bai to the extreme. The name of Su Bai Su Buddha resounded throughout the next 3 days in an instant. After Su Bai and Su Bai left the Su-style manor. At this time, the Soviet-style manor has become devastated. There are dead bodies everywhere, broken rockery stone pillars. A chilling and quiet atmosphere overflowed. It seems that in the entire Soviet-style manor, there is no longer a half-living thing. But at this moment, in a certain ruined wall, a tiny ray of light suddenly lit up. Small stones fell one by one, and a treasure hidden inside, calabash, struggled to see the light of day again. Bump. After a slight sound, Calabash's mouth popped open, releasing a thin plume of gray smoke. In this wisp of gray smoke, a human face slowly emerged. If Su Bai is still here, he can recognize it. This is the great supernatural being that the new emperor has found. He didn't die, relying on magic treasures, leaving behind a ray of sincerity, and luckily escaped a catastrophe. The great supernatural being stared at the horizon with throbbing eyes. There is the direction where Su Bai disappeared. This is the Holy Maiden from the last 3 days, with an earth-shattering cultivation base. It's really scary. Even looking back now, I still feel dreadful and hopeless. The great magician sighed faintly. If I had known this, I wouldn't have been in this muddy water. Until now, the physical body is gone, and even the rare magic treasures that can only be used once have been folded in. In his eyes, this treasure calabash couldn't tell what kind of treasure it was. According to the speculation of great supernatural powers, this is very likely to be a treasure from the last 3 days, and it was accidentally lost to the next 3 days. And myself, because of this treasure, recovered a life. Hurry up and leave this place of right and wrong. As for Su Bai, the great man with supernatural powers said angrily, sooner or later, I will make you pay the price. After speaking, he got into the treasure calabash with all his brains. Control the treasure calabash, slowly float up, and fly towards the southwest. But it's not waiting for the supernatural powers to take off. This treasure, calabash, was pressed to the ground fiercely by a majestic force, and with a bang, it didn't even hold up for half a second before being trampled to pieces. Do not. The great magician let out a desperate roar. He didn't understand. Where did this power come from? With one kick, this extremely tough ancient magic treasures was crushed. The one who can do this, at least, is Genesis power, even a realm with Holy Maiden, above creation. It's a pity that no one is destined to explain his doubts. The last remnant soul of the great supernatural power disappeared with the explosion of the treasure calabash. In situ, the breeze picked up. A slender figure in a vermilion robe stood quietly on top of the broken wall. She glanced around silently. I'm late. Immediately. He raised his chin and stared at the sky. If you observe carefully, you will find that the direction she is staring is the direction where Su Bai disappeared. A pair of red phoenix eyes seemed to be able to match the shattering void, and the sharp eyes fell directly on the infinite Flucklight's sacred land. She spoke almost word for word. No matter who you are, if you dare to touch the master, Beluo Yellow Springs will kill you too. Last 3 days. Fluctuate outside sacred land, between the bright galaxy cluster. Suddenly, a void crack hundreds of meters long opened. Shen Qinghan stepped out with one step, hugging the unconscious Su Bai. Even the blood on Su Bai's body stained her spotless white robe red. There was no difference in Shen Qinghan's face. Holding Su Bai in her arms, she crossed the endless void, and finally crossed the space barrier and returned to the upper 3 days. At this time, the two were already outside the Flucklight's sacred land. With a slight wave of Shen Qinghan's hand, the crack in the space behind him slowly healed, and was repaired by the true meaning of the Tao that he casually radiated. She lowered her head slightly, looking at dozens of planets in the distance that were several times the size of the blue star. They spread out like stars holding the moon, firmly holding their own position in this galaxy, not daring to go beyond half a point. These planets are the outer domains of Flucklight's sacred land. Flucklight's sacred land, actually in the starry sky. This kind of generosity is no longer comparable to those sects in the world. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the majesty of Flucklight's sacred land. This entire galaxy is the Flucklight's sacred land. Such is the heritage of the ancient sacred land. Take a galaxy as the sacred land. Young master's injury can't be delayed. Let's not go to Outland. Flucklight's sacred land, divided into 3 parts. Outer domain, inner domain, core area. Outland, that is the place where the people of Flucklight's sacred land, or the disciples experience. Every planet has tens of billions of human beings. These planets once gave birth to the powerhouses of the creation realm. In terms of overall strength, the overall strength of every planet in the outer domain is no less than that of the next 3 days. Even so, these planets are nothing but the back garden of Flucklight's sacred land. If there is a disciple of Flucklight's sacred land, who is very outstanding, or makes contributions, he can enter the inner domain, take charge of a star, and become the master of countless subjects. As for the core area, it is located in the center of the galaxy. That's the whole point of the Flucklight's sacred land. Only the Holy Maiden, or the Elder and the Holy Lord can live there. And the destination of Shen Qinghan's trip is the core area. With one step, she passed through countless spaces and directly arrived at the core area of the Flucklight's sacred land. But in an instant, in the starry sky, an old and simple rumbling sound suddenly sounded. Who dares to break into my Flucklight's sacred land alone? Between the stars, a giant face across the sky suddenly appeared. Compared with the nearby planet that can accommodate tens of billions of people, it is as small as a pebble. This is the light guard of the Flucklight's sacred land. Then, there was another deafening sound. Those who enter the sacred land alone will be killed without mercy. On the left side of Shen Qinghan, a giant face of equal size slowly emerged. 2 giant faces, one on the left and the other on the right, wrapped Shen Qinghan in the middle, looking down on Shen Qinghan from above, as if they were about to bring down the power of destroying the world at any moment. But Shen Qinghan remained expressionless. Her body, in front of the two, seemed very small. But her eyes met her without fear. Among them, there is also a little coldness mixed in. Unexpectedly, after seeing Shen Qinghan's face clearly, the expressions of the 2 holy light guards suddenly changed. It is no longer as majestic as before. Instead, he showed a flattering smile. It turns out that Lord Holy Maiden has returned. Lord Holy Maiden, are you safe? Shen Qinghan slowly withdrew his gaze, didn't look at the 2 of them again, and directly stepped into the core area. From start to finish, the lips never parted. Just a glance made the attitude of the 2 holy light guards who possessed all-powerful power change. Among the holy sons of the Holy Maiden in the past, Shen Qinghan is the only one who can achieve this step. The 2 holy light guards watched Shen Qinghan sink into the core area. standing quietly in the starry sky, not even daring to say a word. After a while, one of the holy light guards suddenly said, "This year's holy maiden is really extraordinary. They are already above the creation at a young age. This kind of cultivation speed, I am afraid that we have never seen it in sacred land." Who said it wasn't? This year's holy maiden has made the entire fluctuating light sacred land pay attention. The Holy Lord personally entered the forbidden area of life to pick flowers for him. The Supreme Holy Emperor has not left the customs for 100,000 years. When he reappeared, unexpectedly just to see the Holy Maiden. In the long years of Fluctlight sacred land, her status is far behind that of all the holy children Holy Maiden. The two holy light guards kept staring at the direction where Shen Qinghan disappeared with deep and empty eyes. After a while, however, who is that in her arms? Isn't Holy Maiden a clean freak? After Shen Qinghan entered the core area, stepping into the void, he walked firmly in one direction. Not long after, "Young master, we're here, just hold on, little Taohong will wake you up soon." Shen Qinghan looked at Su Bai tenderly, brushed his messy hair for him, and smiled silently. The destination has arrived. That is a great hall where many stars gather together, suspended above the starry sky. This is an extraordinary great hall. The shape is majestic and luxurious, and the whole body presents a blend of blue crystal and suet, just like the palace of celestial immortals in the myth. Only occupying an area, it is already as big as a small planet. The cornerstone is the earth-level mineral, Vajra stone. The wood is the prefecture-level treasure tree, the divine willow. Even the decorations used on the Great Hall are rare things that can't be found for 3 days. If anyone with a discerning eye is here, they can see at a glance how exaggerated the amount of spirit stones spent in this great hall is. Conservative estimate, 1 billion top-grade spirit stones. It can be called a sky-high price. All materials are used at the ground level. In 3 days, the earth-level materials have already attracted countless masters to snatch them. In the next 3 days, prefecture-level materials are enough for several countries to go to war. Even in the last 3 days, prefecture-level materials are not so ubiquitous. But in Yaoguang sacred land, such a precious thing was only used to build Shen Qinghan's palace. Fluctlight sacred land from top to bottom, it can be seen how much importance it attaches to Shen Qinghan. Following Shen Qinghan into the palace, in every corner of the entire planet, a long and simple bell rang instantly. Hum, hum, hum. At this moment, some people are eating big mouthfuls, some people are falling asleep, and some people are fighting fiercely. But after hearing the bell, everyone stopped what they were doing very neatly at the same time. They put one hand on their shoulders, closed their eyes slightly, and bowed deeply towards the direction of the palace. Holy Maiden is back, welcome like a devout believer. Such is the scene of the Holy Maiden. Time of return. For all this, Shen Qinghan has long been used to it. She walked into the great hall without looking sideways, and was about to go to one place when there was a sudden sound of wind behind her. Followed by 4 Taoist shadows. 2 men, 2 women. A long-haired man with a slender figure and long hair draped over his shoulders. The other man was tall and tall, like a hill. As for the 2 women, one looked as charming as silk, and the other looked extremely pure. Although the fluctuations of spirit power emitted by them were incomparable to Shen Qinghan's. But it is also much stronger than that great supernatural power. These are the 4 immortals. They are also the 4 true disciples of Fluctlight sacred land. See Holy Maiden, the 4 said in unison. Shen Qinghan didn't turn his head back, and walked towards the interior on his own. A cold voice sounded. Understood. These 4 Tianzhao came to see Shen Qinghan immediately after Shen Qinghan's return. The reason is simple. Every 10,000 years in the Fluctlight sacred land, a holy son, or holy maiden, will be born through the drama of Kowloon seizing the throne. Countless geniuses in sacred land fought hard for this position. The winner becomes the holy maiden above 10,000 people. Losers must be driven by winners. These 4 are the arrogances cultivated by the great families with great painstaking efforts. In the end, he was defeated in the battle of the Holy Sun and let Shen Qinghan drive him. That's why they came to see Shen Qinghan as soon as Shen Qinghan returned. But immediately, several people discovered the abnormality. Holy Maiden's arms seems to hold someone. An old man. Wrong. No, no, no. The old man was white-haired, and the ravines on his face were as intricate as mountains. Although there is indeed a bit of heroism in the eyebrows and eyes, it can be seen that the old man was also a handsome young man in fresh clothes and angry horses when he was young. But he is covered in blood. So dirty, holy maiden can bear it. The burly man was taken aback. The long-haired man narrowed his eyes slightly. The two women even looked at each other with surprise in their beautiful eyes. They all noticed this detail that cannot be ignored. If I remember correctly, don't we, holy maiden, have a clean freak? The charming woman covered her mouth. The burly man said in a low voice, it seems that the relationship between this old man and the holy maiden is not simple. The innocent female disciple's eyes lit up, she exclaimed, covered her mouth, and whispered. You said, is it possible that this is holy maiden's relatives in the mortal world? Several people immediately thought about it. Don't say it, maybe it's true. The charming woman's eyeballs dangled a few times, her mind spinning. Normally the holy maiden is meticulous about color, and there is no way to get close to please him, but now he attaches so much importance to this old man. Can I start with this old man and improve my relationship with the holy maiden? Isn't this a great opportunity to save the country with a curve? Thinking of this, the charming woman hurriedly ran to Shen Qinghen's side. Said playfully, Lord Holy Maiden, who is this old man? It looks a bit like the holy maiden. Although the remaining three people stayed where they were, all their thoughts were on Shen Qinghen. Finally, a new face appeared in the palace. Who wouldn't want to know, what is his relationship with the holy maiden? Several people's ears perked up. Shen Qinghen walked to the depths of the palace, feeling a little tired between his brows. She said calmly, this person is not my relative. Not a family member. The charming woman's beautiful eyes widened. Not a relative, but being lucky enough to be held in your arms by holy maiden, this is a blessing that has been cultivated for several lifetimes. Holy maiden, did he save your life? Did it save my life? Shen Qinghen suddenly thought of that day when it was drizzling decades ago. Su Bai rode on a white horse and bought himself back from that gambler's father. That is, from that time, a ray of light finally penetrated into his dark life. It's not considered a lifesaver. Hearing what Shen Qinghen said, the brows of several people slowly frowned. I was even more curious as hell. Not a relative, nor a lifesaver. What else could it be? Just when a few people were puzzled, Shen Qinghen's calm and clear voice drifted over slowly. He is my young master, and I am his maid. The words fell. A few people are like goose, people are stupid. The charming woman stopped involuntarily, and stared blankly at Shen Qinghen's fading figure. The long-haired man stared wide-eyed, clenched his fists, with a disbelief on his face, thinking that he would never love again. The man from the hill subconsciously let out a groan, and a storm rose in his heart. The innocent girl opened her mouth wide in a daze. But this is not the most exciting. Just when several people were still engrossed in the big news that was enough to shake Floodlight's sacred land just now, Shen Qinghen said slowly again. We can be regarded as Tao companion. Suddenly, the whole palace was silent. Chapter 11. After Shen Qinghen finished speaking this sentence, these true disciples who have seen the big wind and waves are all dumbfounded. Tao companion, holy maiden means, this old-looking, sloppy old man is the Tao companion of holy maiden, who is aloof from our Floodlight's sacred land. Hiss. Not knowing who it was, he took a deep breath. The impact this incident brought to the four of them is simply indescribable in words. The charming woman's eyes widened, she took 2 steps towards the retreat, and looked at Su Bai in disbelief. That look suddenly jumped between Shen Qinghen and Su Bai. The whole person is not well. The charming woman laughed dryly and took a deep breath. Holy maiden, are you kidding me? Shen Qinghen still had that coldly attitude. I don't like joking. His name is Su Bai, and he was my young master in the next 3 days. The two of us have experienced a lot together. Now I am the holy maiden, so what's the problem with taking him over from the next 3 days? The words fell. Shen Qinghen suddenly stopped in his tracks. Turning his head, he stared at the charming woman indifferently. No problem, the charming woman said quickly. In my heart, there was a stormy sea. Oh my God, this is really the Tao companion of the holy maiden. A mortal from 3 days old, and an old man, turned out to be holy maidens. Young master. Several people were completely dumbfounded. Watching Shen Qinghan hugging Su Bai, he walked into the depths of the palace little by little until he disappeared completely. These four true disciples suddenly looked at each other. No, when did our holy maiden have a companion? Is now the time to care about this issue? It doesn't matter whether there is a Tao companion. The key is that the Tao companion of the holy maiden seems to be really just a mortal. And he's an old man. We don't usually take a second look at this kind of person. Who knew he could be the Tao companion of the holy maiden? Holy maiden is obsessed with cleanliness, but he doesn't dislike the blood on the old man's body at all. What does this mean? It means that his status in holy maiden's heart is too high. After a few people communicated, their eyes widened and their eyes were small, each of them looked in a trance. This is too exciting. I thought it would be over if I came over to ask for safety. Who knew holy maiden even brought back a Tao companion? Such a stimulating melon may cause a sensation in the entire Fluchtlight sacred land. I don't know if you have ever thought that Holy Maiden will be the Holy Lord of Fluchtlight in the future, so this old man, does he want to take charge of sacred land with her? You know, Shakelight has a full range of galaxy. How many powers are queuing up at the back, and it's too late to kneel and lick Holy Maiden. What for? Isn't it just to make yourself a good impression in front of the Holy Maiden and build a relationship with the Holy Maiden? As for becoming the companion of the Holy Maiden, there are so many talented people out there who have no way to line up. As a result, Holy Maiden went out quietly and brought a Tao companion when she came back. And he was a mortal old man. In the future, the entire galaxy will be managed by this old man. Thinking of this link, the expressions of several people instantly became dignified. They separated directly, turning into a ray of sunlight and sinking into the sky. Several people went back to their respective homes and wanted to inform others of the news that shocked the entire Fluchtlight sacred land. The Holy Maiden already has a Tao companion, and the hidden meaning behind this matter is extraordinary. I'm afraid it will catch many people off guard. Standing behind them are the major forces in the Fluchtlight sacred land galaxy. There is a Li family that has been passed down for tens of thousands of years and once had a quasi-emperor. There is a Sanqing sect as long as the history of sacred land. There are also peerless giants who can stomp their feet and shake themselves in 3 days. I don't know how many powerful families are all staring at the position of Holy Maiden Tao companion. Li family. As a peerless family that once produced the quasi-emperor, the Li family has a profound heritage. The family position is in an additional space opened up. Li Wanner, that simple girl, immediately found the head of the house after returning to the Li family. It's not good, patriarch. The head of the Li family glanced at her, took a sip of tea slowly, and then spoke slowly. Those who achieve great things have to be calm, even if the sky falls, you must not change your face. What is your sudden surprise? He leaned back on the chair unhurriedly. Tell me, what's the matter? Li Wanner said anxiously. Holy Maiden brought back a Tao companion, a mortal old man. And Holy Maiden still calls him young master. Puff. The patriarch of the Li family spewed out a mouthful of strong tea, leaned forward suddenly, his eyes widened, and the teacup was crushed. What? Free Qingzong. After returning to sacred land, the burly man Wang Quan found his own master, Zan Nanzi, immediately. Master, something serious happened. Zan Nanzi stood among the stars, sitting on a small planet, carefully moving a planet with one finger, with his back to General Wang Quan. Say. Wang Quan's voice was like a bell. Yaoguang Holy Maiden has brought back a Tao companion, and the other party is a mortal old man. Zan Nanzi didn't speak, but the little planet that he moved suddenly exploded into pieces. In the chaos of the starry sky, the long-haired man mourned towards the void as if he had lost his love. Father, the Fluchtlight Holy Maiden has a companion, and the one who defeated me was not other sacred land's pride, but a mortal old man. In the chaos, suddenly opened a pair of huge eyes like a star. In the memory of the long-haired man, this was the first time he saw surprise in his father's eyes. Fluctuate sacred land, core zone. Holy Lord fluctuating light stood on the top of the mountain, and the cold wind blew, blowing her long silver-white hair. Looking at it this way, compared with Shen Qinghan, Holy Master Yaoguang's appearance is actually on par. This is also a stunning beauty. Suddenly, the Holy Master suddenly sensed a familiar aura, his expression changed slightly, and he raised his eyebrows slightly. She slowly opened her eyes, as if there was a star in those eyes, bright and dreamy. Well, Shen Qinghan, you're back, and you didn't come to tell me. In the past, every time Shen Qinghan came back, he would greet himself first, but this time, for some reason, he didn't come. The Lord changed his mind again. I don't know if this time out for training, has it entered the saint first stage. Above creation, is saint. At this time, Shen Qinghan had just stepped into the saint realm and was not yet stable. Forget it, if you don't come, I'll go and see you in person. Just as the Holy Master was about to leave, an anxious voice came from behind him. Holy Master, something is wrong. I saw an elder running towards the Holy Master with an excited expression. How tactful is it to be so flustered? Tell me slowly, what happened? The Holy Master frowned slightly and said, the person rushing to the Holy Lord is also a very qualified elder in Floodlight Sacred Land. I don't panic at all on weekdays. I don't know what's wrong today, and I look anxious. The Holy Lord frowned slightly, wondering what happened to Chalong Elder, which made him so anxious. It seems that it is not a trivial matter. Why are you in such a hurry? What, Sanqing Sacred Land is calling? If it's Sanqing Sacred Land, it seems that we really need to take it seriously. There was a heroic look on the brows of the Holy Master, like a heroic female general, and said solemnly, Sanqing Sacred Land is too much, do you really think I am alone? Elder took a deep breath, and quickly waved his hand, how can it be? Hearing what the Red Dragon Elder said, the Holy Master breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately she heard it. It's about our Holy Maiden. Our Holy Maiden came back this time and brought back a Tao companion. What? The Holy Lord, who thought that Sanqing Sacred Land would not lose his composure when he came to fight, was shocked at this time. I said, Holy Maiden brought back a Tao companion. Is this true? The Holy Master couldn't believe it. It's true, Chalong Elder affirmed. Our true disciple told me this, and Holy Maiden told her personally, and she was there at the time, so there can be no falsehood. The Lord blinked his eyes, always feeling that things happened too suddenly. How long have you been out? 1 day, 2 days. How could he turn around and bring back a Tao companion for himself? Are you holding your baby next time you come back? Besides, why didn't I know about this beforehand? The Holy Lord looked serious. What is the identity of the other party, which sect's arrogance, or which power's heir? The one who can be taken by Qinghan must not be an ordinary person. For a girl like Shen Qinghan with extremely high vision, her Tao companion can't be someone unknown. The last time, is it also a Sacred Land son who has been there for 3 days? The Holy Lord guessed. Don't talk, let me guess, the other party is the son of the Ji family. Red Dragon Elder shook his head. The Holy Master thought for a moment, the younger generations in this world are only famous, and there are very few who can stand side by side with Qinghan. The first son of the Ji family is one. Yaoqi Celestial Immortals is one. No, Yaoqi Celestial Immortals is a woman. Is that Ma Xingyuan, that chaotic body that received part of the inheritance from the great Emperor of the Void? Chalong Elder didn't know where to put his anxious hands, but the Holy Master insisted on guessing. He took a deep breath and shook his head like a rattle. None of these. The Holy Master was not sure. The star in her bright eyes slowly rotated, and the light became more and more bright. Could it be the Emperor of the Zhang family? The Emperor of the Zhang family, the most popular person of the younger generation, also existed like a star in the whole 3 days. After seeing such a large circle, the only one who can match Shen Qinghan is the Emperor of the Zhang family. After finishing speaking, the Holy Master looked at the Red Dragon Elder with a winning expression. I don't believe it. Can't guess this time. There are only a few young people who can be ranked, and it will not be others. Then she saw that the Red Dragon Elder shook his head violently again. The Holy Master was more suspicious. Who could it be? Chalong Elder finally couldn't hold back anymore. He said anxiously, the other party is not a genius at all, not even a person who has been in the last 3 days. The Holy Maiden Tao companion is immortal from the next 3 days, named Su Bai, and an old man with white hair. What? Holy Master's beautiful eyes widened. This was her second gaffe in just 3 minutes. Impossible. Shen Qinghan, the kind of heavenly girl, can actually fall in love with a mortal. What's more, the other party is still an old man. The Holy Master was not feeling well. She hurried to the edge of the mountain, her eyes lit up with stars. That gaze directly penetrated tens of thousands of miles, and fell on the Holy Maiden Palace. Immediately afterwards, the heavy Holy Maiden Palace, like air, was directly seen through by the Holy Master's gaze. She saw Shen Qinghan at this moment. I saw Shen Qinghan hugging Su Bai, looking down at Su Bai from time to time. With just this glance, the Holy Master saw many ways. For example, the way Shen Qinghan looked at Su Bai was obviously not right. Relying on the Holy Master's life experience, it was obvious at a glance that Shen Qinghan, that cold little girl, looked at Su Bai in the eyes. It was clearly hot to the extreme. It was a deep and passionate love. Shen Qinghan actually has this kind of look. The Lord was surprised. Shen Qinghan is usually cold and doesn't like to talk, and thought that she would only concentrate on cultivating the Tao. Unexpectedly, this little girl has two faces. The Lord took a deep breath. After a while, I slowly accepted this fact. Everyone has been brought back, what else can I do? Chalong Elder, did Shen Qinghan say how they met? Chalong Elder recalled, she said that the other party was her young master for the next 3 days, who saved her life and treated her very well. So that's how it is. The Holy Master probably understood what was going on in his heart. A girl as cold as an iceberg like Shen Qinghan has more intense feelings hidden in her heart than others. Once it breaks out, you will put yourself 100% into it. Dare to break through the mountains of swords and seas of fire, and are willing to die. Hey, the Holy Master sighed slightly. No, how could this Su Bai have such a strong medicinal power? The Lord wondered. She immediately thought of something, and then observed Shen Qinghan so steadily. The strength of the saint realm is not half improved. Even the first stage days, I didn't step in. Okay, Shen Qinghan, I went into the restricted area of life to pick the 9 Yi fan flowers for you, and you just changed hands and went to treat a mortal. The Holy Master was furious, feeling like a waste of everything. Does she not know how terrifying the forbidden zone of life is? That kind of weird place, I risked my life to get in for her, and she treats me like this. The Holy Master was unbalanced. The Red Dragon Elder next to him stood there obediently, not daring to take a breath. He glanced at the Holy Master cautiously, then quickly withdrew his gaze. In Red Dragon Elder's impression, it was rare for the Holy Lord to lose his composure like this. The last time I lost my composure, seems to be more than 300 years ago. Moreover, these words spoken by the Holy Master, can an elder like me really listen to them? Chalong Elder swallowed, not daring to speak. Shen Qinghan, how can you ask me to explain to our master like this? The Holy Master said angrily. Shen Qinghan's master is also the Holy Master's master. In other words, Shen Qinghan and Master Sheng came from the same school. In Yaobuang Sacred Land, they are the same generation. In the entire Fluctlight Sacred Land, there are really not many people who are older than Shen Qinghan and the other two. Before the Master closed door training, you told me to take good care of you, or I would personally enter the restricted area of life and pick the 9 Yi fan flowers for you. As a result, you are lucky. Turn around and give such a precious thing to a mortal. Do you still see me as a senior sister? Shengju's face was flushed with anger, and everyone was numb. I really don't know what to say about Shen Qinghan. After the Holy Lord finished venting his anger, he took a few deep breaths. Do your best to calm yourself down. A few minutes passed. The Holy Master took a deep look at the direction of the Holy Maiden Palace, and murmured. It seems that it's time to find an opportunity to have a good chat with you. Shen Qinghan didn't know anything about what happened on the top of the mountain. She hugged Su Bai and walked into her own boudoir. From now on, no one can come near here without my order. I'm talking about anyone, including Elder, those true disciples. Shen Qinghan said to the servants. Clear. Immediately afterwards, she casually set up 2 high-grade magic circles. Then he returned to the room with Su Bai in his arms. She carefully took off the dirty clothes on Su Bai. Slowly, put Su Bai on the bed. Young master, I'll help you heal right now. With a soft murmur, Shen Qinghan slightly opened his palm and approached Su Bai's lower abdomen. Setsuna room. Some kind of mysterious change seems to have taken place in the whole room. Countless light green light particles danced in the room. This is the essence of life extracted from the 100,000-year-old longevity tree. With the help of such treasures, it is guaranteed that Su Bai will be rescued from the gate of hell. This is also the reason why Shen Qinghan brought Su Bai back. Young master, it will be ready soon. Shen Qinghan's face was pale, and beads of sweat dripped down his fair forehead. She bit her red lips slightly, and tried her best to give Su Bai pure vitality. Time passed bit by bit. Su Bai's complexion returned to rosy at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing this scene, Shen Qinghan finally smiled. Afterwards, after finishing the last thing, he fell down on the bed and passed out. The medicinal power of 9 Yi Fanhua is terrible, and Su Bai is just a mortal. To be able to rescue Su Bai back, Shen Qinghan paid a huge price. From the next 3 days until just now, every movement along the way was a kind of torture for Shen Qinghan. But for Su Bai, she forcibly relied on her willpower and gritted her teeth to survive. In the boudoir, there is a fragrance. 2 people who haven't seen each other for a long time are falling asleep, and what awaits them is a reunion after decades of absence. I do not know how long it has been. Su Bai slowly opened his eyes. I'm not dead, he murmured weakly. As soon as he raised his head, he saw Shen Qinghan lying on the bedside with his eyes tightly closed. Su Bai's eyes trembled. He recalled everything that had happened. For a moment, I had mixed feelings. Stretching out his hand, he gently stroked Shen Qinghan's beautiful hair. Speak softly, little Taohong, thank you for your hard work. Su Bai smiled slightly, and carefully looked at this face that he hadn't seen for a long time, and then turned his gaze to other parts of the room. But when he looked at it, his eyes became more and more complicated. Shocked, but also moved. The layout of everything in this room is exactly the same as my room for the next 3 days. The folding door is made of mahogany. On the left side of the entrance is a century-old bamboo plant. Even the flower pots are exactly the same. A 2-meter-long bronze mirror, a black square table. Even the smell of incense in Su Bai's room is the same. Seeing this, Su Bai looked at Shen Qinghan with complicated eyes. He felt the other party's deep nostalgia for him. Maybe this is the only way to alleviate her inner yearning for own. I remember that before, you also liked to sleep with me, but before, you always wanted to warm my bed. Said, Su Bai lifted the quilt slightly to have a look. Shen Qinghan, who looked tired, held Owen's feet firmly in his arms. This was the last thing Shen Qinghan did before falling asleep. Warm the young master's feet. Just like back then. If you tell it, no one will believe it. The holy maiden of sacred land, which is dignified, warms people's feet. I don't know how many Tianzhao Junji will be jealous of this incident. I didn't expect that you even remembered this. Su Bai felt a little sore in his heart. You are still the little Taohong back then, you still warm my feet, nothing has changed. The Great Xia dynasty was located in the northwest, and the weather was extremely cold. I didn't have a cultivation base, and I was afraid of the cold. So back then, Xiao Taohong slept with herself like this. Decades have passed, enough to make many things change. But the relationship between the two has not changed at all. Su Bai stroked Shen Qinghan's head, just looking at her like this. Right now, Shen Qinghan's tightly closed eyes trembled slightly. Immediately afterwards, he opened his eyes. Are you awake? Su Bai said. Shen Qinghan's indifferent expression suddenly became as gorgeous as a spring flower after hearing this voice. Little stars appeared in his eyes. Young master. Shen Qinghan hugged Su Bai tightly and strangled Su Bai until he couldn't breathe. Facial cleanser. Su Bai patted Shen Qinghan's arm. Relax, I can't breathe anymore. Shen Qinghan quickly let go of Su Bai, and asked with concern, Are you all right, young master? It's okay. Su Bai coughed twice, looked at Shen Qinghan with a smile. I haven't seen you in so many years, do you miss me? Shen Qinghan nodded obediently. I think about it. Where did you think about it? Did you think about it in your head or somewhere else? Su Bai smirked, leaned forward, and stretched out his sinful hand. Don't move, I'll check. You're bad. Shen Qinghan blushed, and hid to the side. You're not fully healed yet. Oh, you're right, get into the bed and let me reduce the swelling. Su Bai pretended to be in pain. How could Shen Qinghan not understand the meaning of Su Bai? She gave Su Bai a coquettish look, and stopped talking. Ha ha ha. Su Bai laughed loudly. It's still fun to play with you. Smelly rascal, young master knows how to make fun of me. Shen Qinghan said it was blame, but Su Bai couldn't hear the slightest hint of blame, but felt a little excited instead. However, he didn't push himself further. After all, the two had just met again, and their injuries were not fully healed, so strenuous exercise was not suitable. Young master, there is still residual medicinal power in your body, and those medicinal powers will be slowly absorbed by the body. While talking, Shen Qinghan remained silent and frowned slightly. Young master's body is too weak, and the cultivation technique he cultivated is really not top-notch. I don't know how long it will take to absorb the power of the medicine. The top priority is to quickly find a similar cultivation technique for young master. What grade of cultivation technique can match young master? Human level, Huang level, Earth level, Heaven level, Saint level, Emperor level, Immortal level. The young master cultivated a human-level cultivation technique, which was really too weak. But that's right, in the next 3 days, the prefecture-level cultivation technique can already set off a bloodbath. It's normal that young master can't find a good cultivation technique. Think for a moment. Shen Qinghan held Su Bai's hand. Young master, if the power of these medicines is not digested within a certain period of time, it will be wasted, and you are also weak now, and the cultivation technique is not good, I think. She hesitated for a moment, tentatively, and said cautiously. I was thinking, can I change the cultivation technique for you? What? Su Bai frowned slightly. Young master, don't worry, the cultivation technique I found for you must be the most suitable for you. And in Floodlight Sacred Land, there are many advanced cultivation techniques, which allow you to choose slowly and slowly. That's not the problem, Su Bai interrupted suddenly. Xiao Taohong took such a huge risk to save herself in the next 3 days, and she was already very ashamed in her heart. Besides, she could also see how much Xiao Taohong had paid to save herself. And the medicine she used for herself is not a mortal thing. Presumably it is also a priceless medicine. How could she continue to accept Xiao Taohong's kindness? That's still not a man. Eat soft rice. Lol, that's not my style at all. Thinking of this, Su Bai shook his head slightly. This cultivation technique, you can't ask for anything. It is definitely necessary to change, but it is to rely on own efforts to change, rather than trouble Xiao Taohong. No, you can't say anything, I won't change, Su Bai said decisively. It's not for nothing that Su Bai has been around for so many years. One spit and one nail, nothing works. Bottom line, never waver. Upon hearing this, Xiao Taohong became anxious. It needs to be changed. Young master, listen to me, are you afraid of troublesome me? Seeing that Su Bai didn't speak, Shen Qinghan quickly spoke again. Don't worry, no trouble. I'm Holy Maiden from Floodlight Sacred Land, and I can get many days level cultivation technique casually. What? Heaven level cultivation technique? Su Bai was slightly startled. In the next 3 days, no one has seen the sky level cultivation technique at all. As a result, Xiao Taohong can take out a lot casually. Heavenly level? No, that's too precious. Before Su Bai finished speaking, Shen Qinghan hurriedly said again. Young master, don't worry, I won't fool you with the heavenly cultivation technique. My young master must be using a holy level cultivation technique. Shen Qinghan frowned, looked at Su Bai with a smile, and there seemed to be light in his eyes. What? Holy level cultivation technique? Su Bai's heart shook, and his pupils dilated a little. In the next 3 days, if it is a day-level cultivation technique, it will only appear in legends. That holy level cultivation technique is a legend that has no legend at all. This kind of thing is not only for Su Bai, but for the entire next 3 days, it is a very distant existence. Can't touch it at all. Therefore, when Su Bai heard Shen Qinghan say these 3 words lightly, the complicated feelings in his heart can be seen. That kind of thing that is so far away, even if you search all over the doorway, you can't find a trace, that ethereal thing, is now so brightly placed in front of your eyes. Heart pounding. It was a shameful heartbeat. Holy level cultivation technique, Su Bai murmured, with a complicated expression on his face. I had clearly thought about it. Even if Xiao Taohong came up with an earth-level cultivation technique, I would refuse it. But what she got was not a low level, let alone a heavenly level, but a holy level. For the next 3 days, it would be something that everyone would snap up. Xiao Taohong just said something casually, and just gave it to herself. To be frank, this made it hard for Su Bai not to be moved. Thinking of this, Su Bai was silent for a moment, and said coldly, "Do you think I'm the kind of person who worships money?" Shen Qinghan panicked. No, I understand in my heart, young master is definitely not that kind of person. Young master, don't be angry. She quickly shook Su Bai's arm with a look of guilt. Su Bai's complexion didn't ease either. He just felt that his arms were sunk in a puddle of foaming cream, very soft but not greasy. Okay, stop talking, let me be quiet. As for the cultivation technique, there is nothing to talk about, so don't persuade me anymore. When Shen Qinghan heard this, he was in a hurry. She stood up directly and said quickly, "No, you must hold this holy level cultivation technique, young master, and I will follow you no matter what, except this time." This time, Shen Qinghan's attitude was surprisingly firm. "Good young master, handsome young master, just treat it as little Taohong, please, just take it, okay?" she said coquettishly. Su Bai looked at her for a while, and finally sighed. "Hey, I really can't do anything about you. You never asked me for anything. You finally asked me once. I definitely can't refuse." Su Bai showed a look of struggle, looking a little painful. After a while, as if making up his mind, he said generously, "Then this time, I will make an exception for you and agree to you reluctantly." Immediately afterwards, his expression suddenly became serious again. "Just this time, there is no next time, do you hear me?" "I know," Shen Qinghan laughed happily, "I know that young master treats me the best." Su Bai looked a little reluctant. "I was shamefully moved. No, I can't blame myself for this. How can a mere holy level cultivation technique shake the bottom line of own? Isn't it because the cultivation technique I practiced is only human level, and compared with holy level, it is rags among rags? Isn't it just that I am in the next 3 days, and I can't even touch the prefecture level cultivation technique, let alone the holy level cultivation technique? Isn't it just taking it out casually, no matter where it is placed, it can set off a bloodbath and attract countless strong people to snatch the saint-level cultivation technique? Isn't it just that Xiao Taohong just gave it to herself casually? What are these reasons to shake your bottom line? I obviously feel sorry for Xiao Taohong and don't want her to be unhappy, so I made an exception. Little Taohong begged me for something, begged me with such a humble attitude, and insisted on giving me this holy level cultivation technique. What can I do? That's Big Brother's good little sister, of course I feel sorry for her." "That's right, that's it. Su Bai can become the Su Foi of shrouding the heavens with one hand, and there is indeed some reason for it. Just standing facing this hand and eating soft food, even if you refuse to accept it. Young master, you are so kind to me." Shen Qinghan put his arms around Su Bai's arm, leaned on Su Bai's shoulder, and said with a smile, "You don't know how I came here these years. I don't want to see you young master all the time. I want to go back to the past, go to the night market with you, you take me to ride a horse, blow the evening breeze." The words fell. Shen Qinghan's beautiful eyes turned slightly rosy. She whispered, "Young master, I miss you so much." "I miss you too." Su Bai was very moved. "I will often think of you all these years. Little Taohong, among my confidant, I always think you are the most caring, gentle and beautiful. In my heart, you have always been unique, and no one else can compare with you." Hearing this, Shen Qinghan raised his head and turned to look at Su Bai with a strange expression. She suddenly thought of something. Wei Wei opened his mouth, just about to speak. But in the end, he swallowed the words back to his stomach. Turning the subject, he said, "Young master, get up quickly after resting, I will take you to a fun place." "Where?" "Hush, I won't tell you now, you will know when it arrives later." Quote. Not long after, Su Bai stood in front of a majestic great hall, lost in thought. On the plaque of the great hall, there were 5 big characters written brightly. Sacred Land Hall of Merit. Good guy, I didn't put what I just said to put in one's eyes at all. I really don't know what this place is. Honestly, isn't that all the good stuff about Fluchtlight Sacred Land? Let me eat soft rice again, so happy. Bah, so angry. With Shen Qinghan by his side, Su Bai walked directly into the core area of the sacred land hall of merit and merit, without anyone stopping him. The moment Setsuna pushed open the door, a dazzling golden light shone straight on Su Bai's face. Su Bai looked up. Then, the pupils dilate slowly. I saw a large number of treasures in front of me, each of which was filled with spiritual light, or had strange visions ups and downs. The bright moon grows on the sea, and the green lotus grows in chaos. An aura of extreme wealth and wealth rushed towards her face. He saw a treasure calabash, flying around the temple, and the bell on the red string kept making sweet sounds. This is a heaven-level magic treasures. It has been born with spiritual wisdom and has the appearance of a holy-level treasure. What's the matter, do you like it? If you like it, I will give it to you. Shen Qinghan said. Magic treasures who are qualified to be promoted to the holy rank. Su Bai's heart was shaken. This thing will never be seen in the next 3 days. No, I'll just take a look. Su Bai looked calm on the surface, and then looked elsewhere. There is a sword filled with chaotic aura, sealed by formation, constantly exuding chaotic aura. It is not ordinary at first sight. There is also a medicine pill that gave birth to wisdom, exuding a strong medicinal fragrance, flying around happily in this great hall. On each shelf, there are books of cultivation technique. Narrowing his eyes slightly, he looked carefully at the small print on the shelf. The heavenly level cultivation technique of the dragon Yuju of the heaven. The master can control 9 dragons and fight side by side. Zhenyu Keishan's sword has a heavenly supernatural power. Once the Keishan sword is released, sword ray will span thousands of miles. Zan Ming Zun palm, half-step holy level supernatural power. Once the palm of the underworld comes out, dare to change the sun and the moon into a new sky. The more he looked, the more shocked Su Bai felt. His expression was a little dazed. What is placed in front of my eyes now is something that I once dreamed of, but I couldn't even get it. But now, as long as he said a word and moved his fingers, Shen Qinghan would bring it to him. And without paying any price, any risk. During the Great Xia dynasty, I have reached the level of shrouding the heavens with one hand. But a local level cultivation technique has cost countless money and used all the power of own to find it, but still has no clue. But now, things that are hundreds of times better than the prefecture level cultivation technique, as if they don't cost money, you can choose whatever you want. Does this kind of life really exist? The bottom line that was left in my heart before, was finally lost under Shen Qinghan's crazy attack. Su Bai closed his eyes slightly and took a deep breath. It's not my fault. She gave too much. If you can't resist, enjoy it. Su Bai, who has changed his mind, feels indescribably happy when he sees these dazzling array of magic treasures again. Cool, so cool. Little Taohong, what is this? Little Taohong, what is that? Su Bai kept asking back and forth. In the next 3 days, he had never seen so many treasures, and he couldn't even name them, let alone their efficacy. Although, he is Su Foi with all hands and eyes. But in terms of cultivation, he is still a noob. Shen Qinghan also tirelessly introduced Su Bai, and finally said, Young master, you watch first, you can take the one you like. Let me help you find the cultivation technique that suits you first, which saves time. Go. Su Bai walked around the great hall. That's great. These days, people give Su Bai cultivation technique, but I have to pick it myself. Not long after, Shen Qinghan returned with 3 copies of cultivation technique. These 3 are holy level cultivation technique. Young master, take a look. Su Bai picked up one of them and read it, Hongmeng Daojing. This cultivation technique is about cultivating the primordial purple qi. Cultivating the primordial purple qi requires a lot of heavenly and mortal treasures, but young master, you have tremendous medicinal power in your body, so you can get twice the result with half the effort. This cultivation technique, cultivated to perfection, can open another minor world. That's right, what about this one? Su Bai picked up another cultivation technique called Swallowing Heaven Dafa. Swallowing the Sky Dafa can extract all resources and extract spirit power through devouring. A practitioner once swallowed a minor world in one go. It can directly dissolve the medicinal power in your body without any waste. After finishing speaking, Shen Qinghan took out the last book and said, However, I hope you practice this book most. Su Bai looked up upon hearing the sound. I saw 4 large characters written on the cultivation technique in Shen Qinghen's hand. Fluctuate holy law. Even if Su Bai doesn't understand anything, he can tell at a glance that it is also a holy level cultivation technique, and this fluctuation technique is obviously different from the other 2. There is a faint golden light all over the body of the shaking light holy law, which is extremely extraordinary. Shen Qinghen's words were not astonishing, and he couldn't stop dying. The sacred law of shaking light is modified from the incomplete emperor's scripture, and it contains the true meaning of the great emperor. Boom! A thunderbolt descended in Su Bai's heart. Every few million years, only one great emperor will be born in the entire universe. Great emperor is the pinnacle of cultivator. Break the long river of time and space, step into the past, and open up the world. And this fluctuating light Bible was actually modified from the emperor's scripture, so its preciousness is self-evident. Excited. Of course I am excited. No one can resist the temptation of a cultivation technique that contains the true meaning of the great emperor. But, I seem to have heard that the holy law of fluctuating lights cannot be practiced by non-holy sons, the holy maiden. Su Bai frowned slightly. Practicing this cultivation technique may bring unexpected troubles to Xiao Taohong. Shen Qinghen seemed to see what Su Bai was worried about, and suddenly smiled. Don't worry, young master, although the fluctuate holy law is indeed not rumored, but I have a way to solve it. If someone is dissatisfied, then find a way to satisfy him. Shen Qinghen's expression was very confident. This is her confidence as a holy maiden. So what about the fluttering holy law? So what if it never gets out? My young master, isn't he worthy of practicing a fluctuate holy method? When I say I can cultivate, I mean I can cultivate. Su Bai said, is this true? Certainly. Seeing Xiao Taohong's confident appearance, Su Bai simply stopped being hypocritical. Xiao Taohong has her own plans, and she is not the kind of person who does things recklessly. Su Bai was more at ease with her. And, I have experienced so many ups and downs in the next 3 days, and I have long understood a truth. In this world, without strength, everything is empty talk. Even if he later became Su Foi with only one hand shrouding the heavens, wasn't he beaten by that great supernatural being so powerless that he almost died? Therefore, only with strong strength can others truly respect themselves. Must practice as soon as possible. Bring up the cultivation base. In Su Bai's body, there is the majestic medicinal power of 9 Yi Fanhua. It can be said that it is nourishing his body all the time, passively absorbing spiritual qi. The root bone has also been transformed by Juya Fanhua, which is much stronger than before. After all, it is a holy treasure medicine, a good fortune that can seize the heavens and the earth, and it can only be born in the world by absorbing the essence of the sun and the moon. The mystery of 9 Yi Fanhua has just revealed the tip of the iceberg. Now, with the addition of this fluctuating light holy law. Thinking of this, a gleam of light flashed in Su Bai's eyes. Slowly clenched his fists. The higher place, the current self, is also qualified to take a look. The beautiful scenery that was unimaginable before is now at your fingertips. Then I will practice this fluctuating light holy law. Shen Qinghen laughed when he heard the sound. His beautiful eyes became brighter and brighter. Okay, young master, wait a moment. Saying that, Shen Qinghen casually dragged the fluctuating light with spiritual qi, and put it back to the original place. At the same time, he picked up the flutterlock on his waist and infused spiritual qi into it. Setsuna room. A series of blurred auras slowly floated out from under Shen Qinghen's body, and these auras formed a huge and majestic magic circle within a moment. Shen Qinghen floated in white clothes. Young master, the fluctuating light holy law just now is just a phantom. The real fluctuating light holy law needs to activate the magic circle to be born. I see. Su Bai nodded slightly. You're right when you think about it. Fluctlight sacred technique is the cultivation technique of Fluctlight sacred land. How could it be randomly placed in the Great Hall? In the center of the magic circle, a simple stone platform slowly emerged. There is a groove on the top of the stone platform. After Shen Qinghen put the flutter lock in, it fits perfectly. In an instant, a rumbling sound that seemed to descend from 9 heavens silently echoed throughout the great hall. What's the matter? Shen Qinghen said quickly. Disciple Shen Qinghen, exchange for the holy law of shaking light. However, it's not for my own exchange. Speaking of which, Shen Qinghen's eyes became serious, and he said solemnly, I would like to use the position of Holy Maiden as a guarantee, and at the price of millions of merits, I will exchange for Su Bai's fluctuating magic. The conditions for exchanging the fluctuating light holy law are so harsh. Looking at the entire Fluctlight sacred land, there are only 5 fingers who are qualified to practice the Fluctlight holy law. After a short silence, the rumble sounded. Allow. After the words fell, light pink halos floated out of the lock. The Fluctlight lock, which was originally extremely bright, also became dim. The millions of merit points accumulated by Shen Qinghan over the years have been taken away by Dian Ling. Then, another bolt of lightning fell from the sky, and it went straight into Shen Qinghan's body. The majestic voice of Qi Ling sounded. I have engraved a Tao oath in your body. If he reveals the Fluctlight secret technique in the future, I will take the lives of both of you. Shen Qinghan responded without hesitation, okay. What, you have to pay so much for exchanging a copy of the holy law of fluctuation for me? Su Bai frowned slightly, feeling a little regretful in his heart. It's just that it's useless to regret now. Shen Qinghan has already reached a deal with Dian Ling. A ball of light that shines to the extreme slowly condenses on the stone platform. Surrounded by a little bit of aura, it is not like ordinary things. Young master, don't resist, Shen Qinghan said softly. Hearing the sound, Su Bai slowly relaxed, allowing the ball of light to crash into On's body. Afterwards, all the mysteries of the holy law of shaking light slowly evolved in Su Bai's mind. The more Su Bai watched, the more excited he became. The holy level cultivation technique is really different, and the human level cultivation technique cannot be compared at all. The mysterious feeling makes Su Bai feel that his own consciousness seems to have entered another space. The spiritual qi between heaven and earth poured into Su Bai's body frantically. The power of the medicine remaining in his body also started a new round of absorption under the urging of the holy law of fluttering light. The first time you comprehend the sacred law of shaking light, you will definitely enter the state of unity of humanity. In this state, cultivation is more effective with half the effort. Young master, you might be able to take this opportunity to directly break through to the cave heaven realm. Cave realm. Su Bai's eyebrows trembled slightly, and his heart shook. In the next 3 days, I have cultivated for most of my life, but in the end, I am still only a physical body. But as long as he comprehends the holy law of fluctuating light, he can let himself directly break through to the cave realm in a moment. Su Bai was slightly excited. Immediately took a deep breath. Increase the rate at which spiritual qi is absorbed. He could clearly feel that the spiritual qi gathered in his body became more and more pure. The speed of absorbing spiritual qi is more than 1,000 times faster than before. Su Bai's realm, like a rocket, rises rapidly. Physical state 3rd stage days. Physical state 4th stage days. Flesh realm 5th stage days. Physical state 6th stage days. Flesh realm 7th stage day. In just a few minutes, the 5th stage day was broken through one after another. Even so, the breakthrough has not stopped yet. In the sacred land hall of merit, spiritual qi is already abundant. The things stored here are at least heaven-level treasures. Countless treasures above the heaven level were stored together, and some spirit power leaked out from time to time. Under the subtle influence of decades or hundreds of years, it was enough to condense into a spiritual sea. What's more, the sacred land hall of merit has stood here since ancient times. The spiritual qi content inside the hall of merit has reached an unbelievable level. Although the Fluctlight sacred land has issued an order, no one is allowed to practice here. But that is also afraid of draining spiritual qi. Even if a small cultivator like Su Bai absorbs spiritual qi openly, it will not have the slightest impact on the total amount. This was also Shen Qinghan's consideration in advance. The medicinal power of 9 Yi Fanhua, coupled with the holy method of fluctuating light, coupled with the spiritual sea. Even a stone can give birth to spiritual wisdom. Young master breakthrough to Dongtian realm, it shouldn't be a big problem. Shen Qinghan said confidently, as if he was very confident. At present, it seems that the fact is indeed developing in the direction I expected. Sudden, Shen Qinghan's beautiful eyes shrank slightly, looking at Su Bai, a little dazed. Is this a vision? I saw pieces of nothingness flickering with lightning began to appear around Su Bai's body. In the nothingness, there is another Qilin galloping. Su Bai's breakthrough actually directly triggered the vision of heaven and earth to descend. It seems that the root of young master has been transformed a lot by Juyi Fanhua, and it has reached the level of my fluttering sacred land, an ordinary disciple. Shen Qinghan was a little dumbfounded. Cultivation causes visions. In the final analysis, what is seen is the root bone, the constitution. Those chaotic bodies, two empty bodies, pure yin bodies, every time they practice, they can cause visions of heaven and earth. But those are all top geniuses, the lucky ones who don't come once every 10,000 years. Putting it on an ordinary cultivator is different. You know, the vast majority of cultivators have never seen what a vision looks like in this life. There are very few people who can induce visions during cultivation. Among them, there is a place for their own young master. Shen Qinghan was very pleased in his heart. When Su Bai becomes stronger, she is happy. Su Bai's breakthrough is not over yet. He frowned slightly, noticing that his own body was absorbing spiritual qi more and more slowly. Even if the fluctuating light holy law is running all the time, it cannot be restrained. This is the 7th stage of the physical body. There are still 3 small realms away from the Dongtian realm. According to the current situation, breaking through to the cave realm is not realistic. But Su Bai, is he someone who gives up easily? The opportunity is right in front of you, whether you can grasp it or not depends entirely on yourself. As soon as he gritted his teeth, he secretly made up his mind to completely give up control of his body, and put all his mind on running the fluctuating holy law. The operation speed of the fluctuating light holy law has suddenly increased by a large amount. Physical realm, 8th stage days, breakthrough. Crunching. In the body, there were bursts of crisp sounds. At the same time, strands of black impurities flowed out from the pores, exuding an unpleasant smell. It's not over yet. Su Bai tried his best, and then absorbed spiritual qi. 10 minutes later, successful breakthrough to the physical realm, 9th stage day. This time, the phantom of Qilin in the vision behind Su Bai became more solid, as if there was a real Qilin galloping behind him. At this point, Su Bai already felt that own body has reached its limit. But he still didn't give up. The fluctuating light holy law, which was constantly running, also gradually became obscure. All of this was seen by Shen Qinghan, who was at the side. She frowned slightly, opened her red lips slightly, and said to herself, even with the 3rd stage insurance added, if you want to break through to the cave realm, is it so difficult? It seems that I still underestimated young master. This is no ordinary person. It's clearly cultivating a black hole. Still the same sentence, if you change a stone, you will already be born with wisdom. Young master can't even go up to the cave heaven realm. In a sense, young master is indeed a genius. So what about cultivating black holes? Even if I use countless resources to forcefully smash it, I will bring up the young master's cultivation base. Let's smash the young master to the immortal realm first. Shen Qinghan made bold words on the spot. Above saint, is immortal. After immortal, came quasi-emperor, and then great emperor. Immortal exists and has been at the top level for the past 3 days. I don't know how much heavenly and mortal treasures it takes to smash Su Bai into the immortal realm. This will be an unimaginably astronomical sum. Su Bai has a long way to go to eat soft food. Time passed by every minute. Su Bai's breakthrough has not stopped yet. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, until an hour later, Su Bai's body finally ushered in an earth-shaking change. In the end, he exhausted all his strength, and in the Qi Sea, he condensed a small volcano that looked like erupting magma. This is the cave. Su Bai successfully stepped into the cave realm. He opened his eyes suddenly, and there seemed to be a flash of light in his eyes. Those cloudy eyes have also become extremely bright and sharp at this moment. The previously consumed energy was replenished, and Su Bai only felt that he had inexhaustible power now. This is the cave realm. Su Bai murmured. Now, looking at the world with the cultivation base of the Dongtian realm, it is completely different from the cultivation base of the flesh realm. He could already see the spiritual qi beating in the air. With a slight movement of the ears, one can clearly hear small sounds tens of meters away. Reaction speed and physical fitness have been greatly improved. Of course, the most important thing is that after stepping into the cave, the speed of absorbing spiritual qi and the proficiency of operating the fluct light holy law have improved to varying degrees. There is no way to compare with my previous self. Congratulations, young master. Congratulations, young master. Successfully entered the cave realm. Shen Qinghan walked over with a smile, sincerely congratulating. It's just luck. Su Bai smiled slightly. Young master, you can't say that. If you don't have the strength, even if you are lucky, you won't be able to catch it. Haha, as expected, Xiao Taohong's little mouth is the sweetest. Su Bai was amused, and immediately let out another smirk. Come here, let me taste whether it is sweet or not. Shen Qinghan's small face flushed slightly, and he said coquettishly, you don't care about the occasion, you are still in the Hall of Merit in Sacred Land. Su Bai understood, meaning that he can taste it when he goes back. But after going back, how could it be so simple? That's too cheap for you. After stepping into the Dongtian realm, his physical fitness has been greatly enhanced, and he has reached the level of a strong young man. It must be a good walk on the path covered with hoarfrost, back and forth. Thinking of this, Su Bai chuckled, then he was slightly taken aback, and suddenly thought, will that own appearance also become younger? I think back then, when I was young, he was a handsome young man. I don't know how many young girls with spring hearts have sprouted, and they are obsessed with themselves. Xiao Taohong, prepare a water mirror for me. Su Bai looked forward to it. Water mirror. Shen Qinghan was a little surprised, the breakthrough was just successful, what do you need a mirror for? But she didn't ask too much. Immediately with a wave of the bare hand, the water molecules in the air condensed and formed a full-length mirror with ripples. Full of anticipation, Su Bai hurriedly looked in the mirror. When he saw it, he immediately became numb. In the mirror, there was still the old man with white hair. Even the wrinkles on the face are not missing. Although the mental state of the whole person looks quite good, but in terms of appearance alone, there is no slight change. Su Bai leaned back slightly, wondering. I see that other people practice, don't they all look younger after breaking through realm? It is said that practice can increase lifespan, that's it. He couldn't believe it. Even if he didn't return to the level of a young man, at least he would return to the state of 40 or 50 years old. Still looks like an old man, what's going on? Playing me. Everyone in Su Bai was numb. Seeing Su Bai's reaction, Shen Qinghan also understood why Su Bai made himself a water mirror. She hastened to comfort her. Young master, don't worry, there must be some reason that we didn't expect. According to common sense, after the cultivator successfully break through a big realm, it will indeed become younger. Could it be? Before he finished speaking, Shen Qinghan suddenly thought of something, and his expression became a little weird. Could it be because of that incident? She looked at Su Bai suspiciously. I saw Su Bai standing there puzzled, frowning slightly. Obviously no idea why this is happening. Shen Qinghan suddenly realized. No wonder, young master himself probably doesn't even know how amazing his physique is. Shen Qinghan was a little dumb. I can't help but think of the changes that happened to me many years ago. Before meeting young master, Shen Qinghan actually met a noble person. That is a cultivator. Originally wanted to take Shen Qinghan as his disciple, but after examining Shen Qinghan's roots, he shook his head and gave up. The reason is that Shen Qinghan's aptitude is too poor. Even if you practice, you won't be able to break through the cave realm in this life. But not long after reaching the acquaintance of Guanbao with Su Bai, Shen Qinghan was discovered by the people from Floodlight's Sacred Land and brought back. At that time, the people who shook the light of Sacred Land looked at Shen Qinghan as if they were looking at a rare treasure. From then on, Shen Qinghan was born in the last 3 days. Everyone knows that Floodlight's Sacred Land has a genius who doesn't meet in 10,000 years. Fluctuate Holy Maiden, Shen Qinghan. And Shen Qinghan slowly figured out the changes that happened to him after his realm improved. My young master is not an ordinary person at all. His physique is extremely special. From ancient times to the present, I have never heard of the existence of such a physique. As long as there is a relationship, talent can be enhanced to an unimaginable level. Can't find the second one throughout the 9th stage days. So, Shen Qinghan looked at Su Bai with complicated eyes. So, after young master's successful breakthrough, there is still no change. Could it be related to young master's peculiar physique? After all, the gift given by fate has already been marked with a price. If you gain a part, you must lose a part. Perhaps the strange thing that young master will not become younger is really due to a special physique. Certainly. This is just a guess. Shen Qinghan didn't have any proof yet, so he didn't say much. In the future, there will be opportunities to verify the special physique of the young master. There is no rush either. She comforted, young master, it's all right. Even if you won't get younger, so what? Shen Qinghan took 2 steps forward quietly, gently took Su Bai's hand, and whispered, it doesn't matter if you are an old man or something else, it doesn't matter, I will always be your little Taohong. The words fell. Shen Qinghan smiled suddenly, the smile was as bright as a flower, looking extremely comfortable and gentle. Su Bai was slightly taken aback. Although I knew Xiao Taohong's intentions long ago, but she confessed to herself so nastily. I still feel a little joy in my heart. The unhappiness of not becoming younger just now disappeared in a blink of an eye. Yes, so what if he's an old man? I can get to where I am today, relying on my charisma. It doesn't matter what you look like. After thinking it through, Su Bai felt much more comfortable, and his expression became more natural. Of course I know what you mean. Since I have obtained the Fluctlight Holy Law, there is no need to stay here, let's go. Shen Qinghan nodded obediently, followed Su Bai and left the Hall of Merit. Like a little follower, she willingly followed behind Su Bai. Just like back then, Fluctuate Sacred Land, Purple Star. In the depths of the 100,000 mountains, an old man was sealed in a piece of golden amber the size of an elephant. If anyone was here, the shock would be unbearable. According to legend, there is a god sleeping in the depths of the 100,000 mountains. The gods sealed themselves in amber and have been sleeping for tens of thousands of years. But at this time, the person who was honored as a god by Ziguangxing suddenly opened his eyes. In just an instant, amber shattered suddenly, and the god jumped out of it, looking across the distant galaxy cluster, looking at the core area of the Fluctlight Sacred Land, glaring angrily. Which junior is this, who actually taught the holy law of fluctuating light to outsiders? Since the birth of my Fluctlight Sacred Land, nothing so absurd has happened. When the old man got angry, he changed the color of the situation, and the entire 100,000 mountains was filled with a depressive atmosphere. HMPH. This old man has been in closed-door training for tens of thousands of years. It's time to go back to Sacred Land. I'm not here, these juniors are really lawless. After the words fell, the old man rushed into the void and pulled at will, the space wall suddenly shattered, and walked straight in. Fluctuate Sacred Land, Tiananxing, 10,000 meters deep in the Sea of Death, the eyes of a white-haired old woman suddenly turned cold. The surrounding sea water froze instantly, rapidly spread to the distance. The 4 flood dragons under him were directly frozen into pieces. It's too much, who dares to break the rules of the ancestors? She rushed out of the Sea of Death and quickly disappeared into the galaxy cluster. At the same time, after Shen Qinghan exchanged the Fluctuating Light Holy Law for Su Bai, all those old monsters in Sacred Land were blasted out. Without him, it was only because Shen Qinghan's behavior had already gone far beyond their bottom line. It takes less than a few minutes. Fluctlight in the Great Hall of the Sacred Land's Parliament, several old monsters with terrifying auras have already been seated. They were all furious. The space around him was trembling, as if it would shatter under this terrifying spiritual pressure in the next second. Holy Maiden Shen Qinghan disregarded the precepts and taught the holy law of fluttering light to outsiders at will. How unreasonable it is. The old man suggested that the Holy Maiden cultivation base be abolished directly, sent to the sky prison, and the cultivator who stole my Sacred Land housekeeping treasures, chopped into minced meat and fed to pigs. Not only that, even the Holy Maiden will abolish the cultivation base to let everyone know that no matter who it is, they cannot ignore the commandments of the Sacred Land. Quote. Just when you elders are eager to drive the Holy Maiden out of the sect. There was only a sound of crisp footsteps getting closer and clearer. The heavy door opened. Congregation elder asked Prestige to go. Several angry eyes converged on one point at the same time from different directions in the great hall. It was a silver-haired man with dreamy stars shining in his eyes. Lord, here we come. The moment I saw the Holy Lord, the suppressed anger of the powerful elders seems to have found a vent, and it burst out. You have been the Holy Lord for 20,000 years. No one understands the rules of Fluchtlight Sacred Land better than you. This old man will ask you, how should the Holy Maiden be dealt with? This time, no one can keep the Holy Maiden. I mean, not even the Holy Lord. HMPH, what Holy Master? When I got along with the old Holy Master, she was still a little girl. What right to speak in front of us? In short, no matter what, Holy Maiden has gone too far this time, she is simply rebellious and must be severely punished. Quote. 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 All the elders talked in a hurry. It doesn't mean to put the Lord in one's eyes at all. Each of these old things has lived for tens of thousands of years. Wearing a cultivation base is even more frightening. This group of old monsters unite together, and if they want to kill anyone, I'm afraid no one can stop it. Not just Fluchtlight Sacred Land. Looking at the entire last 3 days, there are only a handful of people who can challenge them. Moreover, they hold important positions, and they are also influential existences among the elders. These people are not at the same level as Chalong Elder. So, they gathered here today to put pressure on the Lord. Force her to give everyone an explanation. The Holy Master stood there expressionlessly. Quietly listened to the conversation of the elders. Snapped. The Lord suddenly patted the table, and the crisp voice echoed for a long time. The elders were taken aback for a moment, and then immediately looked at the Holy Master. Under the watchful eyes of peerless powers, the Holy Master, who had never expressed his position, spoke up. That's right, not only the elders think so, but I also think so. Holy Maiden, Shen Qinghan, is completely out of control. If you don't take the commandments of Sacred Land to put in one's eyes, you will be rebellious and want to turn the world upside down. I agree to punish Holy Maiden, preferably by stripping her of her identity so that she can never turn over. Elders, what do you think? The Lord said a lot in one breath. His eyes were like torches, and he slowly scanned the people present. But after she said these words, the eyes of the elders suddenly lit up. Ha ha ha, that's how it should be. Holy Lord really understands righteousness. It seems that Holy Maiden has offended everyone, it's out of her hands. All the elders were smiling and in a good mood. I didn't expect things to go so smoothly. But then, the Holy Master changed the subject and said, but my Fluchtlight Sacred Land must have rules, and I can't just punish a high-ranking Holy Maiden, so I would like to ask everyone, which commandment has the Holy Maiden violated? The words fell. Several elders looked at each other. The originally hot atmosphere suddenly became cold. Everyone was stunned. The elder opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything. Yeah, think about it so carefully. Holy Maiden doesn't seem to have violated any precepts. The Lord slowly straightened his back, and said with a half-smile. I fluctuate the Sacred Land, and if I want to exchange treasures in the Sacred Land Hall of Merit, merit points must be deducted. That's what the Holy Maiden did. What Fluchtlight Holy Law can't be cultivated without the Holy Sun Holy Maiden, that's pure bullshit. Fluchtlight Sacred Land, since when did such a rule exist? All fluctuating light people can exchange for the fluctuating light Holy Law, but they don't have enough merit points. It takes millions of merit points to redeem the fluctuating light Holy Law. Let me ask everyone who is doing it. You are all old monsters who have lived for tens of thousands of years. Who can take out millions of merit points? The reason why there is such a saying in Fluchtlight Sacred Land is that, except for the very few people like the Holy Sun, Holy Maiden, and retired elder, the rest of them can't accumulate a million merit points at all. Not to mention exchange. So they can only see the Holy Sun Holy Maiden practicing the Fluchtlight Holy Law. I have never heard of other people practicing. That's why it slowly spread. The smile on the corner of Shengju's mouth became more and more obvious. She walked slowly around the long table. But Holy Maiden did it not long after he joined Sacred Land. So, she didn't violate any precepts at all when she exchanged the Fluchtlight Holy Law. Finished. Some elders frowned slightly, still dissatisfied. But Su Bai is not the one who shakes the light. Holy Maiden exchanging the Fluchtlight Holy Law for outsiders is a violation of the precepts and must be severely punished. That's right, it's okay to exchange merit points, but Holy Maiden is indeed exchanging cultivation technique for outsiders, which is too much. Look at the overreacting elders. The Holy Master finally couldn't help chuckling. Then, he took out a flutter lock. The flute lock slammed onto the table, rolled around a few times, and then stopped slowly. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that when Holy Maiden came back, she had ordered someone to create Su Bai's fluct lock. It's just been stored with me, and it hasn't been taken away. So, Su Bai is not an outsider at all, but my disciple of Yaoguang. Speaking of this, the elders were finally dumbfounded. A few of them looked dazed and dazed, carefully pondering what the Holy Master said just now. But after deliberation and deliberation, in the end, I had to tell myself painfully that what the Holy Master said was the truth. At least from a procedural point of view, the operations of Holy Maiden and Su Bai are very reasonable. There is no place to cross the line. Hey, it's a pity. I originally thought of taking this opportunity to clean up the Holy Maiden. Now it seems, I'm afraid I have no chance. The Holy Master sighed slightly, and shook his head dejectedly. The expression is disappointed, but in the tone. What's the matter with the faint smile? The elders finally have nothing to say now. A few people just sat on the chairs in silence, each of them lost their minds and put on a show, and no one broke the embarrassment first. This time, the faces of the elders were slapped. Swear to come to question the crime. All the bad things have been said. The results of it. All their operations are within the rules. The old face was smashed. Thinking of this, some elders finally couldn't bear the embarrassment. So shameful, so embarrassing. I just want to get out of here quickly. Ah, so that's what happened, it's okay. Ha 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 ha, I just said, Holy Maiden is very measured, how could he violate the precepts? There is nothing to say. Since it was a misunderstanding, the old man will withdraw first. Quote. A group of elders who were aggressive just now walked out of the great hall with their tails between their legs and their heads bowed. When passing by the Holy Master, he didn't even dare to look at the Holy Master's eyes. It's so embarrassing. Everyone is numb. The Holy Master looked at the group of old things with a half smile, and shook his head after they left completely, and said with a smile. A group of old people, do you have enough brains? But, this Shen Qinghan is really willing to spend all his merit points. The Holy Master couldn't believe it. That's a whole million merit points. The Lord doesn't understand. Why is Shen Qinghan willing to risk his own life and break through several top difficulty missions in succession in exchange for merit points, just to make wedding dresses for others? If it were me, I definitely wouldn't do it. Smelly man, what's so good about it? The Lord flicked his silver hair, showing a strange aura. However, on second thought, people like Shen Qinghan are cold on the outside and hot on the inside. Once they approve of a person, they will give 200% of it. For a mortal, an old man, and a guy with not much talent, is it really worth paying so much? The Lord doesn't understand. In the long run, this must be a loss-making business. Immediately, she sighed slightly and shook her head. I can't control you, so I won't be the bad guy. On the contrary, as your senior sister, maybe I can give you a little surprise. Not knowing what the Holy Master thought of, he smiled slyly. The expression also became a little cunning. Just then, a Taoist figure came in from the outside and said, Holy Master, the matter has been finished. There are all Wuyan pills for the last 3 days. The person who came was the Holy Lord's henchman, the Red Dragon Elder. The Red Dragon Elder took out an interspatial ring from his sleeve, and handed it over respectfully. The Holy Lord's divine sense swept over the interspatial ring, and the smile on the corner of his mouth grew stronger. Very good, well done. Chalong Elder responded with a smile, and asked again, what kind of medicine pill is this Wuyan pill? I've never heard of it before. He was a little curious. The Lord ordered himself to collect all Wuyan pills as much as possible in a short time. The vastness of the entire last 3 days, that is, the Holy Master of Fluctlight's sacred land, has the confidence to say such a thing. It is absolutely impossible for any one person to do this. The Holy Master was so anxious that he even ordered himself not to let the news slip. So serious, what are you doing? Is it possible? What new moves will Sacred Land have recently? The Holy Master put away the interspatial ring. This Wuyan pill is an extremely rare heaven-level medicine pill. It can enhance the comprehension of the user, but at the same time, the side effects are also great. There was a smile on the corner of her mouth. The user's face will continue to become extremely old, and look like an old man. Because this heaven-level medicine pill has serious side effects, few people use it. Red Dragon Elder heard more and more wrong. After thinking about it for a long time, I didn't understand it. This kind of medicine pill with great side effects, what is the use of the Holy Lord? And still, the Wuyan pills for the last 3 days were all in his pockets, and even the pharmacist who had the ability to refine this medicine pill was invited to Floodlight's sacred land. Not a single bit of news leaked out. Then we bought so many Wuyan pills, wouldn't it be a waste of money? After all, no one would buy this kind of medicine pill, and even heard of it, they seldom heard of it. The price of a sky-level medicine pill basically starts from 10,000 top-grade spirit stones, and the price of a powerful one starts from 100,000 top-grade spirit stones. But the Wuyan pill, one of which only costs less than 1,000 top-grade spirit stones. Red Dragon Elder was a little worried. The corner of Shengju's mouth raised slightly. This effect is what I want. Chalong Elder was taken aback. But after thinking about it for a long time, I didn't ask. The Holy Master is so mysterious, he knows what to ask and what not to ask. Afterwards, the Red Dragon Elder casually found an excuse to retreat, leaving only the Holy Master in the Great Hall. I don't know what I was thinking, smiling like a cunning fox spirit. The Holy Lord played with the interspatial ring and murmured. Holy Maiden brought back a Tao companion, I can't hide it at all. I don't think it will take long, it will spread throughout the last 3 days. At this time, I will secretly add fuel to the flames and release rumors. The reason why Holy Maiden rejected the 3-day Junji is because he likes mature and stable old men. Speaking of which, the Holy Master's eyes were bent into crescent moons, he was smiling, and he was in a very happy mood. At that time, I will auction this Wuyan pill again, haha, all the Tianjiao will come to grab it. In order to exchange for a favored opportunity of the Holy Maiden, even if there are 100,000 top-grade spirit stones, there will be a lot of people coming to buy them. This is the true purpose of the Holy Lord. Although this purpose is not pure, it is also mixed with some personal mischievous psychology of the Holy Master. All the Junjis who had been on the scene for 3 days turned into old men, that scene, tisk tisk. But it doesn't matter, just make money. As early as after seeing Shen Qinghan coming back, she had already started thinking about this matter in her mind. The Holy Master put away the interspatial ring, spread his hands, and said innocently, "You can't blame me, I also want to make money to support my family. Sacred land is so big, no amount of money is enough. No way, who will make my family a big business? Furthermore, in a few years, Shen Qinghan will become the Holy Master, and the money will be given to her as her family property." But her expression was obviously not as innocent as it sounded. There was a sly smile on his fair face. It seemed to say brightly, "I'm just waiting to see all the heroes who have been in the last 3 days turn into old men. What kind of scene is it? The matchmakers are not good people at first sight. Obviously, whether it is temperament or appearance, she is a beauty who is first class for 3 days. If Shen Qinghan is that iceberg beauty type, that Holy Master is the dignified and mature older sister type. But who would have thought that the heart hidden under this beautiful celestial immortal's appearance is so dark?" 3 days later, after continuous fermentation, a jaw-dropping news spread throughout the last 3 days. The Floodlight Holy Maiden, Shen Qinghan, whom all heroes of the last 3 days dreamed of, actually likes the old man. As soon as the news came out, everyone couldn't sit still. Yangwang God Dynasty. Inside the palace. After hearing the news reported by his subordinates, the third prince was stunned. He turned his head suddenly, the golden light in his eyes was ups and downs, extremely miraculous, like a god-man. I asked how Floodlight Holy Maiden would turn a blind eye to me and ignore me. It turns out that people like old men. The third prince slapped his thigh, feeling remorse and hatred in his heart, and secretly scolded himself for using the wrong method. But what about getting older, as long as you hook up with the Holy Maiden? Floodlight Sacred Land, as a veteran sacred land, has a profound heritage. If you form a companion with the Holy Maiden, the benefits are self-evident. At least I won steadily among the princes, and ascended the throne without any pressure. Coupled with the support of a Floodlight Sacred Land, the strength of the Yangwang God Dynasty will reach its peak. Thinking of this, the third prince immediately ordered, "Hurry up, find me a way to grow old quickly. No matter what method, as long as you can become an old man, don't mind the price. On that day, after the order was issued from the depths of the palace, the entire Yangwang dynasty was in motion. The power of the whole country is to find a way for the third prince to grow old. Not only him. For the last 3 days, after the Holy Master spread the fake news, most of the heroes started to move. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.